Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay, and characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-tat-a-beep-a-dap, skim milk, the rat freak, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
It's true. It's true. The Costco guys were on Jimmy Fallon. It's true. I checked it. I verified. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. But there you go. I will be honest. The hot sauce guys are hot sauce. The Costco guys, I've never fully understood. I've never really gotten it. Costco guys, but they did give us this meme that I love dearly, that I can't get over.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom, 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 boom.
Hell yeah. I just want to be clear. If I pass on and I do not get a Costco guys tribute of at least 5 booms, I'm haunting every single one of you bitches. And I hope you know that. I hope you know that. That's the minimum, okay? Okay? I need 6, maybe 7. 6. 7 booms. That's all I need, and then I'll be happy. And then I'm good. You know, then I'm good to go, and I'll go off and I'll possess a raccoon or something. But I need at least that many booms. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Watch Todd Howard bathroom Fleetwood Mac concert ASMR. What? I'm scared to Google that. Okay, I appreciate the super chat. Very generous 5. Watch Todd Howard bathroom Fleetwood Mac concert ASMR. I'm gonna be on so many lists if I search that. They already think I have an unhealthy fascination with Todd. If I start looking up Todd Howard and bathroom and ASMR in the same sentence, bro, I'm not coming back from that. You should link it to me though. I'll look it up later, okay? Link it to me. Lord Wise, thank you for the 4 months. You should check out Sebi Webb's Why Starfield is Bad music video. There's a music video for it? I can pull it up. What I'll do is I'll pull these things up. And if we... Oh, it's a parody of the song Starman. Okay, fun. I'm worried it's gonna get the stream taken down, but I will keep the tab open and I'll look at it. Okay, I'll look at it after stream. I just don't want the whole stream struck because we listened to a parody song making fun of Todd. You know, bro, talk about mold. I know, get to the good stuff, right? Well, I did want to do this. I did want to mention, there is a very serious video going around that I think we should all appreciate. This is an apology video from someone. I came across it while doom scrolling, and I just wanted to share it because I think it's important that we celebrate people's redemptions after they make a mistake. This individual just wanted to say sorry for something that was said during a game, and I'll just let her take it away.
I said something on the live stream that I should not have said. I was playing Roblox with some of my viewers. We were playing 99 Nights in the Forest, and in this game, there are these child NPCs, and two of my viewers had adopted one of these children who they named Soda Jr. Both of those viewers had died within the game, and they humbly asked that I would take care of their jaundice-stricken child. A request to which I responded by saying, I take my birth control for a reason. I'm not taking care of your ugly fucking child. I was then banned from going live on TikTok until July 21st for harassment and bullying. I would like my viewers to know that I have taken the time from this ban to reflect on my actions and really consider that while something may be true and funny even, it can still be hurtful to Roblox NPCs. I would like to...
It's true. Just because it's funny does not mean it doesn't hurt a Roblox NPC's feelings. Be better. You better not be laughing. I'm watching you guys. You better not. This is serious. I came across, I was like, where is this going? And it just kept getting better and better. To which I replied, I take my birth control for a reason. I'm not taking care. What was it?
Would take care of their jaundice-stricken child.
Okay.
A request to which I responded by saying, I take my birth control for a reason. I'm not taking care of your ugly fucking child.
The delivery is so good. Oh, it's fantastic. So there you go. I think it's important we celebrate people that improve, you know, that learn from their lessons, you know. That's what I'm saying. It's so stupid. What's less stupid though, so we of course, I'm sure you've heard a little rumbling of like people being upset about Sony and all the discless stuff that they're doing. Well, little background, there is no such fury as a gamer scorned, as it says in the Bible. I think it's the book of GPUs, chapter 6 or 7. But basically what PC gamers have decided to do is use their smarts to start rebuilding and re-exploring a few projects that were previously abandoned, namely a few different PlayStation 5 emulation projects, in case you were not aware. Basically, very, very oversimplification, or very, broad oversimplification. Emulating a console is not easy. It's just not. Some people think that it's just like you launch an EXE, you bring the game from PS5 to your PC and hit launch. That is not how it works at all. It is very difficult. By design, I would argue. But emulators tend to be able to get around that. It's kind of like putting a wrapper around the code so that you can run it on a PC. And the PS5 emulator was experimented with a lot back in like 2020, 2021, and 22, but it was eventually abandoned because it just, like, Sony was bringing all of their games over to PC, and so there just wasn't really this big push or need. And like, things were moving away from exclusivity, so why even bother, basically? Well, Sony pivoted back to exclusivity for their single party stuff. Okay, or single player first party stuff. And they just pissed off basically the entire internet. If you care about game preservation at all, sorry, that's kind of where they're at. And so a bunch of these very smart people have started building out the PS5 emulator again, and they're making massive progress. This TikToker, Dilly, I believe, does a quick little recap for us.
So PS5 emulator, it seems like every single day, this PS5 emulator is advancing like really, really quick. User on Twitter has gotten Ghost of Yotei to reach the splash screen inside of the PS5 emulator.
Which is important because, like, mounting the games and launching them, full stop period, has been extremely difficult for a long, long time. So getting them to even go to like a start menu or a screen or play through the introductory sections is very, very difficult. It's like a big deal. And remember, a month ago, none of this worked.
This is not the big thing I'm about to show you guys. This user inside of the PS5 emulation Discord has gotten Demon's Souls to fully boot up on the emulator, show the PlayStation logo and everything. I had to like speed the video up because it's like a 3-minute video, but look, it goes through the whole like first part of the game. It's gonna go through this whole cutscene here. Just watch. It'll go through this whole thing right here, and then it'll show the Demon's Souls logo. Look at that. If we take a look, the whole time this is running, it's running at 30 FPS, which I
mean, it's playing a pre-rendered cutscene, but yeah, I get it.
know it's not 60 FPS or even 120, but this is huge progress! On top of this, another user has gotten past the main menu screen. This is like the settings where you choose the lighting. They got to language select. Then they got to the next screen. I don't know what this is because I can't read it, but maybe this is like customize your character. They haven't gotten inside the actual game yet, but they have made insane progress.
Yeah, and this again is in the span of weeks. Imagine where they'll be in 6 months. Like, Sony poked the bear. Sony poked the bear because once like there's a robust, that's what I meant to say. I was like a robust, but then I tried to roll the R after I said the R part of the word. Once there is a robust PS5 emulator out there, it's really hard to come up with a reason why you keep your like, say on PlayStation. I'm just saying, like, it's really, really hard to come up with a reason. Yes, there are debates constantly around emulation just in general, like how it works in different countries, how the laws tend to work. A lot of people who emulate games will buy the game and then they just get the ROM or get the files and play through their PC through an emulator. So like a lot of people are still buying the game. They just want to be able to play it on different hardware. Or like if you want to play Breath of the Wild, a lot of people will like they love Zelda. They want to support Zelda. They just want to play it at 60 frames at 4K, you know, which you can do on an emulator. So I know there's debates around that, but I'm just being real. Like if gamers already are pissed about Sony's approach to all this stuff, they're not really going to be that inclined to give Sony the benefit of the doubt or work to like support them. And this is just what happens when you poke the bear. I mean, all of these very, very smart people are working day in, day out to build out this emulator. And apparently they are making massive progress very, very quickly. And it's pretty insane. Because again, just to stress it, weeks ago, none of this worked. And now it's working. Like, not fully, but they're getting there. Like, it's ridiculous. But there's a lot of energy. People are trying to do it pretty aggressively. I'm pissed he's not talking about mold. Me too. I'm thinking of starting another channel, you know, Luke the Mold Stevens channel. I think that could work. Gotta find the angle, you know, gotta figure it out. Not sure. Yeah, Xbox Originals getting backward compat and achievements on PC. Awesome news. Yeah, to be clear, I think Asha and the team, this was probably in the works before Asha took over, just to be honest. But this is also a really, really good piece of information. If you missed it this morning, Xbox revealed that they are introducing Xbox backwards compatibility on PC specifically, playing 4 original Xbox titles across supported PCs and handhelds today, with more on the way. As you can see, they're supporting Blinks, The Time Sweeper, Fusion Frenzy, Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge, and Conquer Live and Reloaded. These are all available, I believe, today as part of this launch, and they plan to bring even more in the near future, which is awesome. And then some minimum system specs and stuff. But yeah, they're doing it. And this is, I think, fantastic. This is what I hope they continue to push. And again, I'm just saying. Also, to be clear, Xbox game achievements will be supported. I'm just saying, Xbox has the opportunity to do what PlayStation did with the Xbox One. Just do the opposite of everything Sony is doing, and I guarantee you will come out swinging in the next gen. Like, if you just come out trying to do the opposite of everything Sony is actively doing, they will probably, I mean, maybe not win the generation because they're that far behind, but they will make a lot of progress. They just have to do the opposite. They have to try. And say what you will about Asha, I think she is trying. I was worried she was being brought in to sunset Xbox, as I think a lot of people were worried. That does not seem to be the case. Like, it seems like she's actually coming in and overhauling stuff. Whether her decisions end up proving successful or beneficial remains to be seen, because you can't tell that stuff within months. It takes years to see that. Just like with Phil Spencer, a lot of Phil's ideas were good, I think. It's just they came at the wrong time, or they were made with conflicting information or based on assumptions that didn't prove true. And so long term, over years, it ended up being a problem, and it didn't end up working. But in the short term, it looked solid. It's like, oh, Game Pass for this price, this is great, just don't raise prices. And Phil's like, okay. It didn't end up going very well. But like, this is in the same vein. This is a meme I also saw. This is one of many different memes in the same vein that I think communicates the point. But this is what is going around on social media right now. What most fans think is actually going on behind the scenes. Bethesda fans washing Asha Sharma put belt to ass.
Choleric varmints, ain't they?
Dysfunctional family need intervention.
Like, it is a meme. People are joking. But I think that the sentiment being that finally all these studios have to like actually try, because Asha is like putting deadlines in place and like mandates. I think that's part of the reason that all of this is going viral the way that it is. This is another skit in the same vein by Yunside Lucas, I think, a fellow Luke. Whoops, I muted it. Hold on, sorry.
With the Hey everybody, Todd Howard here at Bethesda, and I just wanted to come on here and share some really exciting news with you. We here at Bethesda are remastering Fallout 3. And we're gonna remaster Fallout New Vegas. So that's 2 new remasters for you guys to look forward to.
Yeah.
And that's about it from the old Toddy boy. And a brand new Fallout. And we're gonna get Obsidian to make it. Yeah. So that's 2 new remasters and a brand new Fallout that's made by Obsidian. And that's all we're working on right now.
Say it, Todd.
I can't.
Say it, Todd.
I can't say it.
Say it right now!
I can't say it! Elder Scrolls 6 is coming soon. It's the only thing we're focused on, and it's the only thing that matters.
Good boy, Todd.
Please let me go.
In my head canon, Asha is a gamer who has waited for Elder Scrolls 6 for years, and she climbed to the top just to crack the whip on Todd specifically. That's right, Todd. That's right, Todd. Read the script. Read the script, Todd. That's right. That's right. This one from Fat Arab Boy. I still find it insane that it took Asha to force Bethesda's hand into making new Fallout games, not the successful Amazon Prime series, which took place in New Vegas. Asha holding Todd Howard's one true love, a giant bag of money hostage. It's invisible, but we see it, Todd. Yeah, Asha has to be putting the belt on ass every employee in Bethesda to make this happen. I mean, I think I think with so much of this, I think that there was just a general, again, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm sorry to repeat myself again and again and again, but I think it's just a cultural shift within Xbox. And this is going to be true, not just of BGS, but of every studio in their portfolio, that one studio is, or all the studios, I think, were generally given the opportunity to just kind of float. Like, do what you need to do, release when you release. But Phil really wanted this, like, utopia of game development where it was just like, release what you're passionate about when you're ready to go. And we'll like, the audiences will come because we'll be making great art and great games and people will love it. And the money will work out. But it didn't. It didn't. You know what it reminds me of? This is a niche thing. This is anecdotal from my personal experience, but there was a theater company in Northern Colorado where I live. I used to work with them a few times, fresh out of college, and in college I did some plays and musicals and stuff with them. But we worked together and they got new leadership at one point. Basically the old couple that was in charge of the theater retired, and then a new person came in, brought some new leadership with them, and they kind of reorganized the upper echelons of the theater company. And this theater company did like 4 or 5 plays a year, one big musical a year, and then some smaller art pieces in smaller venues. But they were a pretty big and successful theater company, pumping out a lot of shows. This new leader took an approach where they wanted, kind of like Phil, to do this, like, we're going to pay everybody more. We're going to pay all the actors and performers more. We're also going to give everybody more time for rehearsals and the production. So if we were doing 6 weeks rehearsal periods, we're going to do 8 weeks or 10 weeks. So everything's going to take a little bit longer, but it'll make better shows, right? And we're going to pick shows that we're really passionate about and excited about. Even if, like, the audiences aren't that interested, we're going to do it anyways because it's important to us and we're excited by it, right? And so, like, you start going down the list and they're doing all of these things that will make the theater company better for the people in the theater company. But they lost along the way what was perhaps the most important part, which was making shows that didn't lose money and that audiences wanted to see. Because there is, to a certain extent, this self-fulfilling thing where if you make games people like and are really excited by, and you give them value, people will come and buy them and spend money for them in hardware, subscriptions, whatever. Same with shows. Like, if you put on a musical people love to see, they will go buy tickets to the musical and go watch it, right? They'll bring their friends, they'll watch it 2-3 times over the course of the run, and you'll make money. It's why, you know, the biggest shows like Phantom of the Opera have been, you know, on consistent runs for like 40 years. It's because people like them and they make lots of money. But sometimes these leaders in these artistic fields get in place and then they're like, well, we'll just make stuff that we are passionate about and everybody will come because the theater will be so good because we'll be so into it. And that's not true. Like, I, as a former theater kid, I can tell you confidently, theater kids are weird. Theater people are weird. Artists are kind of weird. A lot of the things that artists like, broad consumers don't, okay? Like, I mean, it's the old age, example of like the artsy fartsy film that everybody thinks is like really cringy and try hard and like, well, just cringe. Like, it's trying so hard to be artsy and profound. It's like, I don't know if you saw that clip. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I swear to God, I Googled this and it makes me look weird. Okay, I searched on YouTube the sound of fat. I didn't know that it would come up with these search results. The reason I searched it, art exhibit. There was an art exhibit of this like girl on all fours, and there's a block of butter, and she's whipping the butter with the microphone cable so that it like, you know, clips through the speakers. And the art exhibit was called The Sound of Fat. And it was like the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, because she's just on all fours whipping a block of butter with a microphone. And that's what I was trying to find, but now I'm on a list. Maybe one of you guys have seen that, but like, that's an example of one of those art exhibits where it's like, yeah, I'm sure the artist was really passionate about it. Does anybody want to spend money going to see that exhibit? I don't think so. You know, I don't think so. Just because the artist thought it was profound does not mean it's going to work as a product. You know, it just doesn't. Glad you couldn't find it. I guess I could have just described it. You don't really need to see it to understand the point of it. But what I'm saying is that I think Phil, like the people that ran this theater company, had this idea that if you just let the artists do what the artists want to do, it will make better art, and that will therefore be successful. But that is not necessarily true. The reason that there's the term starving artist is because a lot of the most like profound and storied artists in recent memory never found like financial success from their work. You know, like there's all the stories of Picasso having to burn his own paintings to keep warm. You know, there's stories of what is that one artist? What's his name? Bisquat or something. Artist. Basquiat. I'm not sure. This guy, he passed away when he was like, I think 27 or something in the 80s. I think it was a heroin overdose. But he did all of these pieces of artwork. And like this painting, this one is 60 million. I believe it just resold for like 110 million. This painting. They were never selling. I think his first major artwork sold for $200 when he did it. Back in like the 70s and 80s. So like he made like his artwork is incredibly valuable as like a product, I guess, but it wasn't when he was alive. And part of the reason that they are successful pieces of art is because he wasn't trying to turn it into a product, right? Like it was a distinction. But I think this is why it's fascinating to me in the video game space is that you have this kind of conflict where you have products that need to sell to people to pay the bills, but they also are being made in the pursuit of like art and telling stories and creating art in the form of a really compelling video game. But they're trying to do both things at the same time. And sometimes it's successful and sometimes it isn't. It's another example, like think of what just happened like yesterday or the day before with the Avengers like Doomsday trailer dropping right after the Odyssey, you know, where everything is about no CGI, practical effects and all this. And then you see the Avengers trailer and you're like, oh, I don't think any of those human beings on that shot are real. I think all of that CGI and it's all just super like Disney Corpo, everything. You know, it's a distinction between product and art. Where am I going with this? I don't know. I think just overall, I think, again, Phil's approach was pursuing art and letting people have free time and do what they want to do and be free flowing. That's great if you have Satya Nadella spending billions to pay the bills. The moment you have to pay your own bills, it's literally like, go get a job. Go get a job. That's basically what happened here, I think, is that Satya was subsidizing Xbox to the tune of $20 billion over the course of the last half decade or so. And finally he had enough. Just like if the dad that's been giving his son the credit card to go and work on his claymation skills for years and years, he finally says, okay, I'm taking my card back, go get a job. That's basically what just happened. Like, we're not playing around anymore. You need to actually like earn your keep. Sorry, daddy's bank account's dry. We all are tightening our belts and getting a haircut. We got to do this. And I think that's basically what's happened. And it's not going to be just at Bethesda. It's going to be at all Microsoft studios. It's going to be at Call of Duty. It's going to be with Halo. It's going to be with all of these teams. There are going to be very strict standards. And I think the expectation is if your game is not financially successful, you're screwed. Even if it won awards. Doesn't matter. Phil wanted awards. And if you got awards, you were probably safe. That's not true of Asha. I think you got to pay the bills. So, but to be clear, this sounds great in some ways, but you got to remember that part of Asha's vision is to build out the creations program within Bethesda and build out user-generated content platforms, which is another way of saying like Roblox content. So like where there's game modes made by fans for fans, but they have the platform. That's part of her vision, is like that Minecraft and Call of Duty and all these big games have user-generated content platforms within them to create lots of free cash flow, basically. So don't think that magically this means Todd's going to get back on the horse and pump out another Skyrim. I think more likely it means that whatever Elder Scrolls 6 is going to have a massive in-game store, like paid mods out the ass. I think that's part of the vision here. So don't get your hopes up too high. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Let me read these real quick. Chernobyl, thank you for the membership, my friend. Appreciate you. James, thank you for the 5. It's surprisingly safe for stream. Lol, it's on YouTube. Oh, it is? The Todd Howard bathroom Fleetwood Mac concert. I'm gonna be honest. I'm curious. I will look it up. I pulled it up in another tab. You got me. Let's see. Buttery Cheeks, thank you for the 5. Luke, when do you think The Witcher 3 DLC will launch? I'm planning on doing a full playthrough closer to the DLC's launch. It's been 10 years since I played it. Little background, okay? Okay. Let me show you. Dude, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Okay. So, fam. New mini segment. I'll talk about this. Thank you. That's very, very sweet of you. That's very, very sweet. I was hoping I would say it. I'm Isaac. Thank you for the month membership. You're amazing, young man. Thank you for your inspiration to video games. We thank you for. Thank you. Love you. Much love. Let's talk about this real quick. Okay. You sent in, so Buttery Cheek sent in a $5 super chat, said, Luke, when do you think The Witcher 3 DLC will launch? I want to do a full playthrough closer to the launch. It's been 10 years since I played it. I'm low-key jealous it's been 10 years because, bro, you're going to get to basically re-experience it, and I am mad jelly. But it's a good time. It's a good time to be a fan. Now, I just posted on the main channel, the big main channel, Luke Stevens. I posted a video 30 minutes ago called regarding the new Witcher 3 expansion. So I just did a bunch of deep diving into this, so I have it top of mind, okay? I will give you the Spark Notes, though. You should go watch that video, of course, and subscribe while you're at it. Also, subscribe here. Like 60 to 70% of you guys that watch these like stream clips and stuff are not subscribed. What's that about? Come on, let's be friends. Having said that, though, all you really need to know about The Witcher 3 DLC in terms of timeline, to understand when it's releasing, you have to know why it's being made. It's pretty simple and it's kind of funny, okay? The reason that this Witcher 3 DLC is being made doesn't actually have to do with a whole lot of like market analysis and dodging this release or this release. It's not totally being just out of the kindness of their hearts. The reason why they're doing it is actually because, shocker, money. There are financial incentives that have been set up for executives at CD Projekt Red. These thresholds are at like a few different tiers. But these different tiers, I show them in the video here. Okay. These tiers are as follows. I might have to hide chat so we can actually read it. Okay. In order to meet these requirements, CDPR has to reach 412 million pounds of cumulative net profit between 2023 and 2026. Basically, there's 3 different tiers of rewards that unlock based on checking these boxes. So the first one, as we said, is what? 412 million pounds. Okay, 412 million pounds. 412 million, and that is from 23 through 26. I believe these are fiscal years as well, so it's not necessarily December 31st. It's the financial year that ends March 31st of 2027. Okay, so that's the first threshold. The second threshold is to make 617 million between 24 and 27. That means, okay, so 617 million. We'll just go dollars. I know it's not 1-to-1, but you get the point. Between, I said 24 and 7, 24 and 27. And the third and final threshold is to make 823 million between 25 and 28. So 823 between 28 and or 20 25 and 28. 25 and 28. That makes sense. Okay. Now the reason this is important, okay, is because each of these thresholds unlocks basically massive fat bonuses for the executives. So the CEO, CFO, the like original founders that have equity in the company, they all get massive paydays if they can hit these thresholds, okay? Now, what's the problem with this number? This is the first one that unlocks, allegedly, by the end of March of 2027. The problem is there's not really an easy way to make up this extra gap. They've done things like launching Cyberpunk on Switch 2. They've done sales for The Witcher. They've done stuff like that, but this is a lot of money. This is a lot of money, okay? How do you make up that gap? Well, you launch a DLC for 30 or 40 bucks. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So they've put a team of roughly 100 developers on The Witcher 3 DLC, and that's going to launch. I think they've already said 2027. It's going to be revealed at Gamescom. I think it's probably in that first quarter. I think it's probably like January, February, probably earlier if they can manage, because again, they need to bring in as much money as they possibly can before this deadline in order to unlock those bonuses. Okay. So I'm guessing somewhere January or February is when it's going to drop, and it's going to be pushed out the ass and go crazy. After that, you see, they need from 2020 or 24 through 27, they need to have brought in 617 million. This is a pretty big gap. This is why they've said The Witcher 3 will not release before 2027. They didn't say it won't launch in 2027. There is a good shot that The Witcher 4 actually launches in like November of 2027. To be part of this bucket of profit, okay? And then The Witcher 1 remake, maybe somewhere in here as well, maybe in like early 28. Like to hit these targets, they have to put out some big stuff. Because we're talking hundreds of millions. You know, a little DLC with like a map pack, with like a cosmetic set or something, that doesn't move the needle. Doing like a 50% off sale for The Witcher 3 will bring in some money. Even if you sell 1 million copies, you know, it's not going to change the world. They got to make hundreds of millions. And to be clear, right now, I'm not sure exactly where they are on this number, but maybe they're at like, I don't know, maybe 350 million out of this, out of 412. So they got to make up an extra 62. And that's what the DLC is for. So the DLC, I think, is going to be coming early 2027. In order to fit in the financial year so that they can hit this threshold. And then I think that we also are going to see The Witcher 4 coming probably earlier than people are expecting. I was mentally thinking like late 28, maybe early 29. I think that they may actually be way farther along than you would think. It may end up being a smaller game than we expect as well. It may not end up being like 100 hours. It may be like 30 or 40 hours, which is fine, I think. Because again, the idea is that they do this, they do The Witcher 1 remake. A year or so after that, we get Cyberpunk's sequel. A year or so after that, we get like The Witcher 5. Like they're supposed to start pumping these out. Okay? It's crazy. Please use dark mode for paint. That flashbang is unnerving. Oh, I'm sorry, my friend. Often I'll do a black like wipe where I just like cover the whole board and then I write in white. I should have done that. Apologies. Please don't be mad. I need your validation. Otherwise, I have no purpose in life. Sorry. I'll try to remember to do that next time. But anyway, this is where I think it's all going. It all comes down to these financial incentives. This is what they're doing. And to be clear, this is not like my discovery. This is something that's come from these financial analysts. Specifically, there's this guy that works with a Polish investment firm and analysis group, and he's been following this for years. And he said that currently they need about $144 million. This was in like early 26. I think this was like January, with the interview being in late 25. But so by now it might be like 120 is needed, 100 is needed. I'm not sure. I don't know if we know yet. But you can see that they need a lot of money brought in order to meet the threshold. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm excited though. I think it's going to be cool, and I am here for it. So that's what seems to be happening with the Witcher DLC, and when you can roughly expect in terms of timeline. I think it's going to be earlier than people are expecting. So there you go. Yeah, everybody put your sunglasses on for stream. Yep, you got to get ready. Yeah, CDPR is starting to milk the Witcher franchise dry. Well, right now, I'd say that cow got... There's no way to sound this without sounding creepy. That cow's got a lot of milk. She ain't dry yet. Bessie's got a lot left to give. I don't think they're milking that cow dry. I think that cow is young, good to go. Know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Luke the Milk Stevens. Don't know if I like that one. That one's Was the tone necessary? I think it kind of sets the stage. If you're gonna talk about milk, you kind of gotta get deep in there. We're talking about a video game franchise, okay? Explain to me what I did wrong. Oh God. So anyway, there you go. I think that's what's happening. Bessie done dried up. She did her best. Sure did. OMG, it's Elijah. Thank you for that. Sub with Prime. Luke, how the F does one play all those games about to come out? As a dad with limited time and funds, some real hard choices are gonna have to be made. I'm a big Insomniac fan and never thought I wouldn't get Wolverine at launch, but BODW and Control might push it out for me. On sale. Right. Like I think as a father, as somebody with limited time, I totally get it. I'm fortunate enough to do this for a living, and even I have to pick my battles and pass on stuff and be like, I'll get to it later, you know? So it does happen even when you do this for a living. It's just, there's only so much time in the day. And September is going to be crazy. Early next year is going to be crazy. So you are not alone. It's just about picking those battles and getting to it when you get a chance, you know? That's the key. Why don't you take a seat? Take a seat right over there. Right over there. Yes. Help me understand. Exactly. Help me understand. Let's see. Gavin, thank you for that 5. I completely forgot about the Witcher 1 remake. Should we expect to hear about that soon, since it's been 4 years? It's probably, I believe it's scheduled for after the Witcher 4. So we probably see it mid to late 2027. I don't think we'll see it anytime soon, which I think is fine. My understanding, after reading some of these financial statements for that video I put up this morning, my understanding is that the part of the goal is that assets from The Witcher 4 can be used in The Witcher 1 remake. So they're trying to like build stuff and then be able to swap them back and forth. So they're kind of being developed in tandem at the same time. effectively, which is smart. It's smart, to be honest. But I think that also means that we probably don't see much until around the same time that we see everything else. That's kind of my expectation. Bender the Offender, thank you for the 5. Good to see you, my friend. The best meme to come out of this Bethesda news is the SpongeBob putting patties on the grill. It fits so well. Yeah, dude, there's been a lot. And I was kind of blown away because you know how all these algorithms work. When you like something, it shows you 15 more like that. Dude, I was blown away at how many. There's like dozens different meme formats all being utilized to like send the same message, which is just the perception among a lot of the gaming fandom is that this is not like Todd being like, let's finally give the fans something they ask for. This is Asha being like, get your act together. And I think it doesn't take that many brain cells to rub together to put 2 and 2 together. That Asha shows up, there's a new sheriff in town, we're doing things differently. You're going to start communicating with your audience. You're going to start talking. You're going to go do interviews. You're blacklisting a guy from 13 years ago. What is wrong with you? Wake up, be an adult. Like, I think that there's just a lot of that going on where it's like, we're not doing things that grow up. I think that's a lot of the discourse that's been going on internally. Let's see. I'm Azek. Thank you again for that membership. That's very, very sweet of you. Thank you. IG, thank you for the 5. Please use dark mode. Oh, I did read that one. Yes, I will try to remember. Thank you, my friend. Vitones, thank you for the super chat. Luke, my super ultra giga chad. So all that said, can we all agree that as evil as he was, Bobby Kotick was the chud of all chuds and got all bonuses, monetized the Jesus out of Activision and then sold it. In terms of his role, I'm checking how to do dark mode. I'm checking for dark mode. Zoom status bar is there no dark mode on MS Paint? There it is. There it is. Ah, that's so much better. That's so much better. Okay. Don't save changes. Okay. Okay. I did it. I did it for you. I did it for you. Okay. For you. I do for you. Good job. Good job, MS Paint. You're doing a good job. Okay, here we go. I did it. Are you proud of me? I did dark mode. There we go. Okay, I figured it out. It only took me doing this channel for like 4 years. So the thing about Bobby, not I think a great guy, according to most people's interpretation of what's been alleged. I don't think anything's been like proven, in a court of law, but there's a lot of smoke. And usually where there's a lot of smoke around like covering up abuse allegations, stuff like that, usually it's like, where there's smoke, there's fire. But the one thing everybody agrees on in the finance world is that, Bobby Kotick sold Activision when it was like up here. He sold it for even more. This is like what Phil paid for it. And then they took over right as they went down the roller coaster. And so it's well understood that he sold it at the very, very peak of what he could have sold it for and for like the maximum price. What's interesting is that he actually told Phil, apparently they were good buddies. And Bobby Kotick did an interview recently where apparently he was suggesting that Phil Spencer was actually being considered for his replacement, which is fascinating to think of. Like Phil, in another timeline, Phil Spencer was the head of Activision and they didn't sell to Xbox, but they'd be independent, but Phil Spencer would be in charge of them, which is just fascinating. Let me see if I can find here it is. Look at this. I'm not joking. I'm making this up.
I hired Phil to come run one of our business units.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he calls me up and he said, they just offered me the head of Xbox. And I said, dude,
take it.
You know what? I want you here and I would love to have you here, but that's your dream job. And so go do it. But I was ready to hire him to come probably be my successor. And so that was an easy part of doing this deal too. It was I knew the guy, I liked the guy, and I thought he'd be a good steward, really good steward for the.
Defending Bobby is crazy. Let me be clear. Okay. I would not let Bobby Kotick like babysit my kids. I would not invite him to a party. I would like, just because the devil is the devil does not mean you can't acknowledge the devil has a silver tongue, you know. The reason why Bobby Kotick was at the top of Activision is because a lot of these guys that thrive in these business environments are like low-key a little sociopathic, if not fully sociopathic. Like, to get to the top of any multi-billion-dollar corporation, you have to sort of be a psychopath. Like, you have to kind of be just this person who looks at individuals as numbers on a spreadsheet, you know? Yeah, the devil wears Prada. Yeah. So often when you're talking about like industry leading executives and stuff, you're talking about people who are probably not good people. I'm like, just being real, just being totally honest. Like, in order to climb the ladder, you have to be freaking cutthroat and you have to be a shark. And like, it's crazy. What did he do again? There's a number of things, but the primary allegations against Bobby specifically centered around a lot of the stuff that came out about Activision and the sort of culture of systemic abuse allegations from many different employees, saying that there were people in charge that were regularly abusing their underlings in all sorts of various ways. Like, we're not just talking verbal abuse, we're talking like sexual harassment, all sorts of insane stuff. Things done at parties that were alleged that were like straight up illegal, that were then covered up, and people were, instead of being fired, were moved to other jobs within the company. Like, they were just kind of shuffled around to bury it and hide it. There were lawsuits and investigations and tons of stuff. This is mostly like, I think it was 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. And a lot of it, I mean, as with most of these companies, a lot of it gets settled. A lot of it gets like, you know, buried in litigation, and they sign non-disclosures and non-disparagement agreements. So you never really find out what actually happened. But most of the allegations specifically against Bobby Kotick center around claims that he was part of the covering of that stuff up, that he was part of the don't deal with it, just hush it up, you know. He, I'm sure, would say that he was high enough in the chain that it never even reached him and he wasn't aware of it. And when he was aware of it, he would say he did the investigations or whatever. But that's just how this stuff typically works, is that it gets passed off on the underlings. It's their fault. And then the person at the very top doesn't claim responsibility. And it's like, there's no direct paper trail. That's just how this tends to happen. He also, I think he popped up in the Epstein files as well. I'm not certain about that, because unfortunately now in a lot of discourse, people use that as like a punchline. So like, people were joking that like Todd was in the Epstein files, which as far as I'm aware, he was not. But people were joking about that. It's like become a meme. So maybe if he was, that's really bad. But I'm not sure if people are joking or if they're just memeing. But the point is, he's I don't think a good person to put it lightly. But I do think he sold the business at the absolute peak, got the most money, bailed, left Phil holding the bag, and Phil thought, you know, oh, this is going to be great. And then they just plummeted after that. So yeah. He knew what he was doing. Bobby Kotick knew what he was doing. And I think he definitely was one of the few winners in this whole exchange that happened with Call of Duty and Xbox. Yeah. You don't have to like him to acknowledge that he was a shark that ate people. You know, he ate people. He was in the files. Well, there you go. I wish I could say I'm surprised. You know, but like a lot of these guys that like run these crazy huge companies, they're like all kind of insane and like kind of psychopaths. Like, it's my old boss in real estate used to half jokingly say, if you want to be in this business and you want to be successful, you have to be a little bit of a sociopath. Because he's like, you got to be willing to just hound someone down to sell them a building, even when they tell you to F off and stop calling them. You got to be willing to show up at their house. Even when they call the cops on you, you got to keep calling them until they finally give you the deal just to get you off their back. He's like, you just have to turn the switch off that considers other people's feelings. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm cut out for this. You know, I'm not sure. I don't think I can do it. Yeah. The Bricks and Minifigs CEO. I'm not too familiar with all that stuff going down, but some of the stuff I've heard, it sounds like it's probably another example of people in upper echelons that just turn their brain off to feeling about other people. And saying how that works, well, it's kind of like, you know, it's just kind of like one of those evolutionary advantages. If you have no consideration or care for other people, it makes it so you can be way more aggressive at climbing over people to survive, quote unquote, or to excel at something. Like it's why overwhelmingly the people that end up in positions of like leadership in situations like that, they tend to all be these like grade A-holes, because like they don't have a problem with throwing you under the bus, even though you didn't do anything wrong. It was their mistake. They'll throw you under the bus so they keep their jobs. A normal person wouldn't do that. They'd be like, I need to take responsibility. They don't care, because they don't care about humans. You know, they don't have empathy. They just don't. So they throw you under the bus. They survive. You get fired, and they keep climbing the ladder. You know, that's how a lot of it works. You know, it's why they're called sharks. Yeah. They'll eat you up. They'll eat you up. So yeah, to be clear, you don't have to like Bobby to understand that he is a shark, and there's a reason he was at the top of that company. He's a shark through and through. Let's see, where did I want to go next?
It goes in a month.
Look at that.
Edward Liu.
Edward Liu. Is this
He's
it?
the writer.
Is this it? No. Where do I want to go next? I think we got some options. I have some different ones. Real quick, just to mention this. So, do we have any Baldur's Gate fans in chat? Me. I'm a fan. I like it. Well, Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, who owns Dungeons and Dragons and all that. And Hasbro has been desperately trying to figure out what to do in the video game space, because Hasbro has a lot of massive IP. They of course had a smashing success, one of the most successful games in recent memory in 2023 with Baldur's Gate 3. But as I'm sure you guys are aware, Baldur's Gate 3's developer has said that they will not be making Divinity or Dungeons, oh my god, Baldur's Gate 3 sequel. They won't be making Baldur's Gate 4. They just are not touching it. They are good. And they've been asked multiple times, like, why won't you do another one? And they say, well, we're really passionate about our own IP and we want to go back to what we were doing. We want to do that. And I get that. Divinity's cool, but it's still surprising. The scuttlebutt is that behind the scenes, there's a bit of drama. Okay. The rumor mill is suggesting that Hasbro is, for one, like a nightmare to work with, that Hasbro has like all sorts of ridiculous restrictions and requirements on getting things cleared with them, verifying with them, going back and forth. It just is very, very sluggish and hard to deal with. And the other rumor and rumbling has been that after the success of Baldur's Gate 3, Hasbro was upset that it wasn't better monetized. So Hasbro wanted to do like DLC for new races. They wanted to do DLC for cosmetics, DLC for all this. They wanted a ton of microtransactions. They wanted a ton of stuff built into the game to make it more profitable. And if you're wondering what this would look like, and you don't play D&D, let me just show you. D&D Beyond is the platform where like you can build characters, have your character sheets and all this stuff in one place, because this is their platform. They have an ungodly monetization scheme for this. So For these, if you want to use different races or items in your character sheet, you have to buy individual books, okay? These books are like, they're digital, okay? Digital and physical. If you buy just digital, it's 30. If you buy both, it's 60, normally 80. But this gives you the book to actually read through, but then it unlocks that item in the app. Otherwise, you can't use it. You have to spend $30 for a digital book to unlock that like staff in the app. Okay. And they used to do bundles where you could buy like, let's see, maybe 5 different books as one massive bundle all together. They removed all of that. So there's no more stuff like that. Instead, now it's all piecemeal, individual little books that you have to get. They'll bundle some of these little things like Ravenloft, as you can see here. But the massive bundles they used to make with like, 10, 15, 20 books all in one, they don't do that anymore. All of these different things are broken out like this. Yeah, beyond digital, as they say. It's become such a nightmare that most people have abandoned D&D Beyond and gone to third-party apps, which have, let's just say, community contributed most of this content so that you don't have to buy it. You can actually use the apps, and people have just kind of done it themselves. But it's really tragic because it used to not be like this. Like the apps used to just work the way the apps did, and then the books were a great way to supplement that. Now it's all broken out, and this is what they ultimately wanted. They wanted like a $30 quest line added to the game. They wanted, you want this new archetype for your character, we need another $20 for that. Like that's what Hasbro wanted for Baldur's Gate 3, and I think that's also ultimately what they would have wanted for Baldur's Gate 4. They would have wanted the base game in a Larian style, sure, but there would have been like 7 or 8 races, and then any of the other stuff, any extra items, anything like that, you would have to buy separately. Naturally, Larian didn't like that, and they were like, we're not going to do that. No, we're good. You guys were already kind of a nightmare to deal with, and we think our fans are going to follow us to Divinity. They're not going to just play us for Baldur's Gate and for D&D as a format. So we're good. We're good. So they left and they bailed. This has caused much wailing and gnashing of teeth within Hasbro, though, because a lot of their other projects have been floundering or struggling to find footing. And this all led to the climax, as reported with Games Radar, where Baldur's Gate and D&D owner Hasbro is down $56 million as its strategy of canceling almost everything surprisingly fails to yield games. To be specific, they say we're all aware by now Baldur's Gate 3 was a huge success, blah, blah, blah. The latest earnings report from Hasbro lists an impairment of $56 million on a, quote, refocused digital games portfolio for 2028 and beyond. That's a lot of money to watch go down the sink. This comes as the company cancels yet more unspecified games. I have been made aware of 2 of these that were canceled in the last year and a half or so, because some of the devs were fans and they reached out and communicated it. What I will say is that Hasbro's approach for a while has been to kind of just throw anything and everything at the wall and see what sticks. So their approach was continuing to be, let's just throw small budget games out there, see what sticks, and hope we get a smash success somewhere. That doesn't really work anymore, it seems, and it seems like they feel the only way for them to really stand a chance is to utilize their IP with massive budgets to try and build out like another Baldur's Gate or something even bigger than that. Like to really give these games a chance to excel with big budgets. Don't just rush them out really janky. As you can see, just a few years ago in 2022, Hasbro was all about investing in games, helping to hoist up studios and spreading its many lucrative licenses. It spun up G.I. Joe related projects in addition to other releases, drawing on the Forgotten Realms, as well as original works such as Exodus, the sci-fi RPG headed up by former BioWare devs at the new Archetype Entertainment. As we can see there, you guys are probably aware of that one. There are others too, and while it's diverse and promising slate, it also involves keeping a lot of teams afloat while hoping their releases eventually bear fruit. And if big public companies hate anything, it's waiting for things. Hasbro now says that, quote, several, end quote, entries on its release calendar through 2028 have been canceled. These were at least one of these was like a smaller D&D project that I don't think had a whole lot of potential. Like I said, a lot of these are pretty tight budgets, and they would probably fit. I think they would fit sub like AA. Like in terms of actual dollar amounts for the budgets, I think that they probably were in the realm of like 10 to 20 million. Like they were not going to shake the world in terms of production value. Which doesn't mean that the games would have been bad, but we're talking like small projects. Like one of them was card game is oversimplified, but that's kind of like the vibe that they would have had. They were not anything that would go viral, let's just say. No details are forthcoming on what games would have gotten the axe, but prior knowledge provides a few clues. Invoke Studios is Warlock, an action adventure game set in the Forgotten the Forgotten Worlds. That's funny. I wanted to say Forgotten Realms and then Worlds. So Whelms. Jesus. I need more coffee. Set in the Forgotten Worlds is set to release in 2027, as is Exodus, a horror-based game from the studio Skeleton Key. Also appears to be still happening, thanks Kotaku. We are focusing our digital investments behind franchises, platforms, and partners where we see the clearest upside and where Hasbro has the strongest right to win. Chris Cox. I'm an adult. Chris Cox, the CEO of Hasbro, said in today's accompanying financial call. There you go. Another D&D based project from Giant Skull was already dead in the water since Hasbro preemptively ended its contract with the team, and the game based on Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe seemingly got cut after its developer Atomic Arcade saw heavy layoffs. This one is Hasbro cancels Dungeons & Dragons game from God of War and Star Wars Jedi Veteran after seeing early concept. Apparently, IP Wizard or IP holder Wizards of the Coast tells reporter Jason Schreier the company ditched the partnership, revealed in a flashy 2025 press release earlier this year, deciding not to pursue an early concept from Giant Skull. Nonetheless, the company will accept new game pitches from Giant Skull in the future. Basically, like, apparently they were showing off. This is from Asmussen. If you don't know, Asmussen is, hold on. Where's his full name? You'll when you see him, you'll recognize him. Respawn. This guy. He also worked on God of War 2, I believe. This guy. So yeah, he founded Giant Skull. They pitched a game and apparently Hasbro didn't want it, so they backed out, which is surprising. I would like to know what that would have been. Like, was it that it just didn't have an in-game store and that's why they bailed? I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. As I've said before, usually canceled stuff, they don't cancel stuff they think is going to be super successful. The thing with Hasbro, though, is that they are just, in my humble opinion, just incompetent enough in how they manage their IP that they might. Like, something that looks really good, like, to put it this way, I think if Hasbro were pitched Baldur's Gate 3 today, I think they would turn it down because they would want more in-game monetization, DLC, stuff like that. I don't think they would do that again, which is amazing. Like, the idea that a company like Hasbro could be pitched a Baldur's Gate 3 level game and turn it down because they don't think it monetizes enough. But like, that's where they are. It's the prime example of a company that believes they have a lot of goodwill with their fan base because they own these massive IP, and that they can spend that for free revenue, that they can over monetize because people love D&D, because people love G.I. Joe, because they love these IP so much they're willing to put up with more. I'm not so sure that's the case. You know, I'm not so sure. I think, I mean, maybe tell me in chat, honest question. Okay. Honest question. Like, really reflect on this. I want to know. Oh, he's God of War 3 director. Oh, okay. Honest question. Put yourself in like an alternative timeline. Imagine with me, Baldur's Gate 3 launches in late 2023. It is the exact game we got, but there is an additional store at launch in the game that has another 30 races, hundreds of magic items and weapons and stuff that is gameplay affecting. Like, it's an actual sword that has all of these special status effects, but to get it you need to spend $4.99. So you're getting Baldur's Gate, but it's monetized in that way, right? That Hasbro would have wanted. And honestly, they probably would have stripped out stuff and sold it separately. But like, let's just say hypothetically, the game is the same game. What would you do? Would that change your opinion? Would you still buy the game and love it? Would it review as well? I think a lot of people would potentially scoff at it. The people who would play it, I think, would obviously love it because it's Baldur's Gate 3 and they'd play it and be like, oh, this is great. But I don't think as many people would have been willing to jump in and try it, you know? Because as a lot of you guys are saying, it's like, I don't know. I think that would make me hate it. No, I don't know. Honestly, I would have bought it anyways. Yeah, maybe you'd still buy it, but you're not happy about it, right? Like, I think it would sour it a lot more. And nowadays, it feels like if you can't be overwhelmingly positive about a game, you're just fighting an uphill battle, you know? You're constantly held back by the negativity around a lot of this discourse. To be fair, there are some companies that can get away with in-game monetization pretty aggressively. The one I've shown to prove the point is like a game everybody universally loved, which was Resident Evil 4 Remake. People forget, dude, this game, look at the DLC. A lot of this was at launch. And people just like have completely memory hold it. They've forgotten about it. But they sold like weapon exclusive upgrade tickets for $7. They sold all of these like gameplay affecting things. These are just like deluxe weapons, the Skull Shaker, different cosmetics. Okay, that's fine. I don't personally care about cosmetics, but treasure maps. They sold all this stuff at launch and people like were fine with it because the game was really good. You know? So there are some companies that can get away with it. I don't know if Larian would have gotten away with it in that case with Hasbro forcing it. But I think, again, like, it's just the fact that it becomes a debate, the fact that it becomes a question is exactly the point. I mean, I think that you have to pause and go, would I still buy it at that point? You don't want to ever entertain that as a company selling a product. You don't want anybody to be about to pull the trigger and buy something and go, actually, do I want to support this? Because even if that person ends up going through with it, there's going to be a non-zero number of people who decide, nah, I'll wait. I'm not going to buy it right now. I'll wait till a sale, or I'll voice my frustration on social media and hope that they remove the in-game stores and stuff. And you just don't want to deal with that. You just don't want to deal with it. Insane double standards. Well, I think to bring up the example of goodwill and sort of this credit they get with the audience, Capcom has spent years building up a lot of goodwill with their audience, and so a lot of people are willing to just play the base game and love it, and they just ignore this stuff. Even though some people will call it out and be like, hey, we were just complaining Ubisoft does this, and then they're doing it here. Like, we should probably be consistent, but it's just, they're different. They're just different. And honestly, when you release like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, people are more willing to put up with stuff like this than if you released a 7 out of 10 and then did this. You know, people are less likely to throw a fit when the game is really, really good. But all of this to say, Hasbro is trying to figure out what they're doing next and what their option is. It's been rumored, and I don't know if it's been reported specifically, but there's been rumors going around that Hasbro cannot find another studio to take on Baldur's Gate 4, that they've pitched it or offered it to studios, not pitched it because they would receive the pitch, but that they've offered it to other studios and they can't get anybody to say yes, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it. Like, imagine that you're going around, you just had one of the most successful releases in recent memory. People are calling it Game of the Generation, okay? That studio bails because they hate working with you. Oops. And now you're taking that IP that would sell millions, let's be honest. Even if Baldur's Gate 4 like ends up being a mediocre game and it's like, a C-, it would still sell millions of copies. So you would think that there'd be some studio out there who would be willing to like take that on and just be like, yeah, it's not going to be as good as Baldur's Gate 3, but yeah, we'll try it. Sure. But they apparently can't find anybody to agree to do it. And I think it's because they all know we can't follow that. Like we're going to be held to such an insane standard. We don't want to deal with that. And I'm sure part of the negotiations and part of the expectation is that they're going to over monetize it like they wanted to do with Baldur's Gate 3. And so why would anybody bother? Why would anybody bother? It's a great example of how sometimes these types of projects are not held back by like the concept or the IP or whatever. Sometimes it's literally that the company that's involved with it is just a nightmare to deal with and nobody wants to put up with it. Another example of this same thing has been what's gone down with like Star Wars, for example. Or just Disney in general with licensing games, where pretty much every major studio except for like EA with the Star Wars Jedi franchises, or Star Wars Jedi franchise, and then Battlefront to a lesser extent, nobody wants to deal with licensed IP anymore because like it's just a nightmare. You give up 30%. Like Insomniac are the last guys really doing it with Marvel. Like nobody wants to deal with the headache. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. It's why I've said I think the best move that Disney could make is to invest heavily in their gaming division again. Bob Iger cut most of the gaming division back in like 2010 because when he took over, he was like, we need to save money and invest in the parks and movies and stuff. And I want to buy Star Wars and I want to buy Marvel and I want to do all this stuff. And so he came in and did that at the expense of the games division. And they've just had nothing to show for it for a long time except licensed games. But now nobody wants to deal with licensed games. Nobody wants to deal with it because it's a nightmare. Isn't LucasArts dead? I don't think it's dead. I think it's just changed. Like it's not anywhere close to what it once was. Like now they mainly are in supervisory roles and stuff like that. So it's just different. It's just very, very different. Disney Infinity's art style was so good. I mean, they had some big hits. They were working on a Pirates of the Caribbean franchise and game series, and then that got canned like months away from launch. Now it's lost media. Nobody knows. Luke, just look at IO Interactive. Will we ever get a sequel for Bond? Yes, I do think we will. Yeah, I think Amazon is down to throw the money for that. That's all I will say. I do not think they will struggle to land those negotiations. I know some people were like taking some articles that were suggesting, well, now Amazon is going to step in and publish. That was always the deal, was that after 007 First Light that Amazon would take over publishing because they bought Bond in the period when they were working on this. Like they worked on Bond for I think 7 years, I want to say. I think it was like pre-COVID is when they started working on it. So they were working on Bond before Amazon bought James Bond, the IP. So this was always going to happen. Like it wasn't surprising, but some of the news stories made it sound like Amazon's coming in and is taking control and they're not happy about it. They're taking this away from IO. It's like, it was always going to happen that way, but okay, sure. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Leo, thank you for the 5. Part 1, Luke in chat, building PC and 9800X3D CPU, 5070 Ti or 9070 GPU, trying to figure out what ultra-wide monitor to get where I can use it for my job. The only ultra-wide monitor I've used is the LG 45-inch curved ultra-wide. It's right here. I'm looking at it right now. Jacob actually uses the same one. Jacob can attest in chat how good it is. I will warn you, though. Hold on. Luke Stevens Studio Tour. Where is it? Yeah, here's a snippet. This is from a couple years ago. But this is in the old studio space. But you can see like how massive the ultra wide is. And it's so huge that if you sit too close to it, it echoes the sound back to you, like your own voice. And it was causing feedback issues with my microphone, which is crazy because it goes out and echoes straight back into the microphone. It was like kind of jarring. For a non-YouTuber, I'm sure it doesn't matter at all, but it was like enough of an issue. It like blew my mind. I had to like sit at a different distance than I was used to because it was so big. Nowadays, I use it still in the studio, but it matches more closely to like this picture, as you can see, where I have it vertically. set up on the left side. So that's where like all my chats and everything are. We'll do another studio tour and I'll show you. But yeah, I freaking love it. It's fantastic. It's so good. And again, it's OLED. Is that an LG? Yeah, just look up like, it's not a screen, that's a visor, dude, kind of. Look up LG 40, I believe it's 45 inch, ultra wide. And they do, like, this is the model that they update every year, but it's freaking awesome. Isn't it weird? Like, no, dude, it's amazing. If like part of the Crimea River, part of my difficulty, part of my struggle is that I love ultra wide gaming, but no video content is in an ultra wide format. It's just not. Like, it's just not. Like, if I were to ever do let's just pull up a video, like, just to show you. Like, if I were to ever do videos with an ultra wide monitor, it would end up looking like, I just need gameplay. Show me gameplay. Yeah, this is fine. This is a one view video. There you go. It proves the point. Like, if I were to ever do any sort of like gameplay content, it would end up looking like this. And it just like, all the streams would be really cropped, and it just, I don't know if it would work. Like all that black space up and down, like, I don't know. So even though I love ultra wide gaming, and if I were not a YouTuber or streamer, I would be ultra wide gaming all the time. I have to use regular. I have to use 16:9. Yeah, my steak is too juicy, lobster too buttery. I know. Cry me a river. I can't use my ultra wide for gaming. I'm sad. Wah. It's so stupid. But yeah, I love ultra wide gaming. Highly recommend it to anybody. But just be warned, if you get into it, it's going to be hard to do streams and stuff. Just how it is. But Luke, does a lot of your people watch on mobile? Yeah, like 50 to 60% of all viewership is in mobile. That is true. But the problem is that streaming services do not like receiving footage that is at a not 16:9 aspect ratio. So it just is what it is, but it's fine. When should I start Phantom Liberty? During the campaign? It unlocks during the campaign. I think it's around the time of the Voodoo Boys. Probably start it when it unlocks, play through it. Maybe don't blast all the way through it during that period, but yeah, probably start when it unlocks. I like, to be clear, I've only ever played it after like I finished the main game. I've never gotten to go all the way through, tying it all together. Do Phantom Liberty at the end because the endings are better. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, maybe like go start the quest lines when they unlock, but don't finish it till the very end, like before Arasaka and everything. Yeah, it runs into the endings anyway. Yeah. So I think that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. Chat's right. Ravensmod, thank you for that sub. Luke, have you seen the Lego X-Files set? Great advert for it. I have not. I will pull it up. Gillian Anderson reopens the X-Files and it's a Lego set. That's funny. That's a good ad. That's funny. Last thing I need is more Legos, though, to be real. Ramen Noodle, thank you for the sub with Prime also, my friend. Thank you. Okay, I read that one. Leo, also thank you for that one. Part 2, but also use it for the PC, PS5, Switch 2, and Series S. Any recommendation on OLEDs? Whoops. I want to avoid burn-in. Looking right now at the Acer Nitro 34. I'm not familiar. I haven't used an Acer monitor in a while. I will say, though, the benefits of OLED way outweigh any concerns for burn-in. And honestly, burn-in nowadays is not really a big problem. Like, it's just not. It's not. What they'll do is they'll do like micro adjustments on the screen so that things don't burn in that way. It's kind of magic and a little insane, but just to like very vaguely demonstrate it, if you think of like how you have a grid of pixels, okay, what your monitor will do, these pixels are like ridiculously small, right? These modern OLED monitors, what they'll do is if this pixel is white, what they'll do is over the course of like 10, 20, 30 minutes, they will move and rotate this pixel that's lit up to the left, up, over. And so they'll spread out the workload for that brightness across these pixels. And they're basically just taking the whole image and they just kind of move it. Very little. You'll never notice it. You'll never see it. But it avoids burn-in because they can kind of bounce around. They'll also do, like, the monitor will regularly ask you, like maybe once a week, it'll do a pixel cleaning where it kind of turns itself off, resets everything, recalibrates, and then does it. Mine does it like overnight when I'm not in here. It just does it by itself. So it's not really a problem. Like 10 years ago, yeah, worry about it a little bit, but I really wouldn't worry about it, frankly. They also have settings that reduce brightness on HUD. Yeah, they've got stuff like that. It is nowhere near as big of a problem as it once was. Back when I was selling TVs and selling OLED TVs and stuff, the main problem would come from people that were watching shows where like they had, like there was the one guy that had the Fox News, like, you know how it used to have the square? Maybe it still does. I don't know. But it had like the square that rotates. I remember being at my grandpa's house growing up and he always had Fox News on, and this little square would rotate constantly with like the time that rotated on the bottom. And this old guy came in and his TV had that burnt in. He showed us pictures and it burnt in just there because he would just leave that like news channel up 24/7. So he never turned off his TV. And because that thing was like white compared to a black background, it burnt in. The other thing was like we had a demo TV, a demo OLED that played a demo video of a fireplace. And so the center of the screen was a fire. Outside of the screen was black. And so that burnt in the middle of the screen. Stuff like that is a worst case scenario, and there's no real avoiding burn-in at that point. But if you're using it like a regular monitor, playing games and like different games, I don't think you'll run into any problems. I don't think so. 24/7 Fox News. Yeah, I mean this older guy, he got this new OLED and it was one of those things, total overkill. Like he's like, I just use it for watching the news, but he wanted an OLED. So we sold him an OLED and then he comes back in, a year later or whatever it was, and is upset that it burned in because he never turned his TV off. It's like, well, that's what you get. I mean, it's karma, I guess. Anyway, with this, let's talk about something. Okay. I want to do this because this has been recommended to me for a while and I've wanted to check it out. New segment. It's a new segment. Deal with it. Okay. Show of hands in the YouTube chat for the stream clip. Who is excited for The Witcher 4? Me. This guy right here. If you're excited for The Witcher 4, subscribe. Them's the rules. I don't make the rules. I just make them up. I'm really pumped about this, but one of the things that's been most intriguing about the kind of marketing push and lead into The Witcher 4 has been this demo, which I'm sure you all have seen and we have looked at it 1,000 times. The Witcher 4 tech demo, which they stressed, as you can see in the text at the very bottom, technical presentation, not actual gameplay. But this is basically what the game, what they're shooting for the game to look like. But probably the most impressive thing that they showcased in it was the crowd tech, at least to me. In terms of overall graphical fidelity, I mean, of course, it looks good. It seems to be like a little soft, so it's definitely running at a sub 4K resolution, and they're doing some upscaling. Digital Foundry's done a bunch of analysis on it. But the stuff that really blew me away were the dynamics of having this many NPCs on screen behaving in a more realistic way and really, really dynamically as they kind of move the camera around. They eventually showed this moment where they started adding in even more NPCs, which is just something that previous iterations of a lot of these open world games have struggled with, having this many NPCs with unique outfits and behaviors and animation rigs and logic and movements and everything. That's just really hard to do. It puts a massive strain on the CPU, massive strain on the GPU. Everything is just, it's tough. Really tough to do this. Well, a couple of months ago, a user created a video, a guy named Mr. Cheetah, or Cheetah? I think Cheetah, it's a mouse. I think it's cheese. He posted this video. I tested The Witcher 4's animation tech, or Witcher 4 demos animation tech. And this has been recommended to me by several of you guys who watched it, said that it's amazing. I watched the first few minutes and I was like, oh, we got to talk about it. We got to look at this on stream because this is freaking cool. Because he actually goes in and breaks it down and tests it to see if it's real. Because let's just be honest with ourselves. You can get away with a lot in a tech demo that does not actually make it to a final game. Like there is a difference between what's in a tech demo, which is why they stress it's a tech demo, and what's actually practical on consoles and at launch, right? So he's actually gone through and tested it to see if this actually could work. If so, how it works, and break it down to see how realistic is this and how does it compare to other games such as, you know, what Red Dead has done. Or as you can see here in this scrubbing, he even looks at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's NPC system, which I still insist is one of the most advanced NPC systems of any game that's ever launched. It's freakishly impressive, and I don't think it gets enough love. But having said that, let's check this out. Again, make sure to go check out the video. I'll have it linked in the description and everything of the stream clip. Mr. Cheetah, give him a sub while you're on a sub spree.
So CD
check it
Projekt
out.
Red showed this at Unreal Fest last year. Over 300 NPCs in a marketplace running at 60 frames per second on a base PS5. CD bumps a vendor, the apples spill, a kid runs for one, a pig chases another. What CDPR called an unscripted chain reaction. The conversation since has been pretty much what you'd expect. Some confusing this tech demo for real gameplay, others skeptical of the visuals, plenty skeptical of Unreal itself. But the thread I got stuck on was different. People were calling back to the Cyberpunk E3 gameplay demo from 2018. They've heard these NPC promises before. So what's different this time? To answer that, you need to know what was hard to begin with. Because 300 fully animated characters in one scene is the number studios have been working around for a decade. Every open world game that has tried has hit a wall somewhere, a wall that isn't rendering AI or physics. The pitch of this tech demo, CDPR and Epic build tools that move it. The architecture behind the demo is public, the tools ship with Unreal. Which matters. The demo itself we can't verify, that's CDPR's seen on CDPR's hardware, and we won't see the full thing until the game releases. But the architecture underneath is in Unreal today. So we can do something better than just take their word for it. We can test whether the tools do what they claim to do.
Which I love the idea of doing this. I wish I knew how to work Unreal like this, because imagine, it's just so cool to be able to be like, they claimed this is possible. Let's see. Full stop. Let's give it a shot. You know, I'll be able to see if we're making stuff up, if we're being silly, you know, we'll be able to tell.
Before we open Unreal, it's worth understanding what we've been working around all this time. Because the problem isn't new. You've watched games try to solve this for years.
You've already
when
seen
people
this.
talk about NPCs that feel real, they're usually talking about Red Dead 2. NPCs remember you, they react to the weather, they have opinions about your house. Bump someone in St. Denis and it cascades. A person shouts, a witness reacts, the law gets involved. But count the people on screen. In St. Denis, the busiest place in the game, you're looking at maybe 50 or 60 at a single time. Rockstar made each character so deep, so expensive to animate and simulate that the engine simply can't afford more of them. It doesn't hurt the game, it's exactly what the setting wants, but the trade-off is still there.
Well, you notice, this is also something to appreciate, is that when, like, part of the balancing of building games like this is that you have to understand what your limitations are and then kind of embrace them and build the game around those limitations. So, for example, if you know you can't have 1,000 NPCs on screen, then you're like, okay, I can't have 1,000 NPCs on screen. Let's not set up a quest line where you would need to have 1,000 NPCs on screen, right? Like, if we can only have 20 or 30 simulated, let's not have a quest in a sporting arena where there's thousands of fans, right? Because that will make it very, very clear that they're not all fully simulated. We'll have to do puppet boards and all sorts of stuff. And there's some clever ways that you can hide that sometimes and break it down. KCD, for example, does that on some of the sieges, where you'll see maybe 50 actual NPCs of enemy guards like charging towards you, and then the rest are like little cardboard puppets in the distance that are just anchored to your perspective, so they are always facing you. But in general, especially in a game like Red Dead, one of the things that you'll start to notice is that the way the game and the world has been built is to spread things out so that you don't see them, right? Like, so that you spread them out, you don't notice the limitations, because they designed it with those limitations in mind, understanding them. It's why I also think like some of the best innovation and most clever design like decisions typically come out of these types of restrictions. They come out of limitations. They come out of, we can't do this just brute forced with raw computer power. We've got to find a more clever way of doing it. And so they do, you know, and this is a phenomenal example of that. Another example would be like, do you remember in the, it went viral a little while ago, a clip of the Walking Dead mirror? The Walking Dead mirror in the car. Let me see. Was it not The Walking Dead? What's the game? The freaking game. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I thought it was Walking Dead. Is that not what it is? Do you remember what I'm talking about? What is, no, it's not, I don't think it's Walking Dead. What is the freaking the Telltale? Yeah. It's the Telltale one. Lee's car crash. I mean, this is the sequence, but there was somebody that pulled the camera out and showed it. You know, they actually pulled the camera out and showed it. Telltale's The Walking Dead. I think it spread on Twitter real quick. Hold on. The Walking Dead Telltale car. Maybe not. I probably shouldn't just scroll Twitter with it on screen randomly. I'll end up revealing something I don't want to show. Man, that's gonna drive me crazy if I can't find it. Oh man, that sucks so hard. It's really cool. Basically what they did is they just built a pocket dimension for the car out the mirror and then like reflect it back. Is it, boundary break? Boundary break. Okay, hold on. We're almost there. Boundary break. The Walking Dead. Okay. 6 years ago? Oh God. Yeah, look at this. Look at that. I think this is it. Okay. Boundary breaks. Thank you, Banana.
The camera is focused inside of the vehicle at all times. Now, the first thing I noticed, and it's the first thing I want to show you, is that you may recall being able to see the reflection of the officer in the rear view mirror. Well, video games love to do all sorts of different tricks in order to do reflections, but how it's pulled off in The Walking Dead is a little outside of the ordinary. As you can see here, there is a second model for the police officer, and the environment is a cone that has special textures that loop through the cone. And so anytime you look at the cruiser from an angle that's outside of it, this is what you're going to see. This is probably also why you never get to see the camera angle outside of the cruiser. Meanwhile, I'm sure a lot of you want to know what the city...
And then they just cull everything around it. You know, they just cull everything around it. But like back, or nowadays, they would just... like, I guess we're going to ray trace the reflection, just do it that way. But they came up with this really clever way of basically building a duplicate scene, and then they cull everything through like the framing of the rear view mirror so that everything is just duplicated. It ends up being really performant. I remember this game running on my iPod Touch, like my little iPod Touch. But it's because like they had to come up with a really clever solution and way to do it, you know? But it's just really well done because they were forced to come up with a solution based on the technical limitation. And I just love finding out about these little tidbits and tricks that they use. But anyway, thank you, chat, for helping me find that.
every open world studio has found a different place to put that trade-off. Hitman Absolution put 1,000 people in a level in 2012, but most of them are shells, empty bodies looping an animation with AI brains that only get swapped in when gameplay needs them. Assassin's Creed Unity filled the streets of Paris 2 years later,
Look at
but
that.
anything past 40 meters is running on 11 bones, and full skeletons are capped at around 40 characters. From a rooftop, it looks incredible.
I remember this. It like is both super impressive and also just so jarring, because you can even see like as the camera moves in Unity, you can see the shadows and stuff. Like watch these guys down here. You'll see the shadows and the models actually popping in and out, because like you just said, they could only have 40 full quality NPCs basically, and the rest had to be pared down and simplified. And so like from a distance, it looks really
11
cool.
bones, and full skeletons are capped. Assassin's Creed Unity
Like, look at that. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. But the only way they could get it working on PS4 hardware and Xbox One hardware was to come up with these like major trade-offs where all of these are just like distant, very, very, very basic puppets. And then the ones really close to you are high quality. But because of how the game is built, where like unlike Red Dead, they didn't try to spread things out. They're like, no, we're going to show how many we can simulate on screen. So we're going to just like fill the whole map with them. And that makes it really jarring when you see the technical limitation, you know?
filled the streets of Paris 2 years later, but anything past 40 meters is running on 11 bones, and full skeletons are capped at around 40 characters. From a rooftop, it looks incredible. At street level,
As long as you
most
don't
of
move
them
the
are
camera.
puppets. Cyberpunk tried to hold the look without faking the crowds. Every district has its own visual language, every NPC dressed to match, but follow anyone for a few seconds and you see the gap. They walk their loop, maybe sit at a bench, then vanish when you turn around. They don't remember you, they don't react unless you point a gun at them, and even then they forget. The art direction is extraordinary, but the behavior underneath is still shallow.
That's why I've said, like, I think that the next frontier should be more realistic NPCs. Like, I'm telling you what, that will have such a bigger impact on like the quality of open world design, and just, I mean, not even open world design, just game design in general. If you can have like truly intelligent NPCs, that will elevate the experience way more than like shiny or metal. I'm just saying, maybe I'm just being unreasonable, but I swear to God, like the NPCs are one of the things that take me out of an open world game instantly. I think it's part of the reason I love KCD2 so much, is because they do this very, very well. And it's definitely an area for improvement. I'm excited to see what GTA 6 has done with it. Like, imagine Red Dead 2's NPCs are smart. That game is 8 years old. 8. We're old, fam. We are old. Imagine what GTA 6 is going to do. Like, man.
KCD2 might be the most recent ambitious shot anyone's taken at doing both. Warhorse Studios put 1,500 NPCs in Gutenberg, everyone on a daily schedule. And the behavior underneath is genuinely reactive. NPCs comment if Henry's dirty, drunk, naked. They react to your horse. They remember you. But ride into the city and you notice something. You can't gallop. The game physically slows you down because the engine needs time to load and animate the NPCs around you. And if you move too fast, you can't keep up. 5 studios.
But it kind of works because you're like, oh, well, I'm in a city. I don't want to run around. I might hurt someone. But it's actually because they just can't simulate things fast enough. They got to slow you down, you know?
5 different places to put that cost. Some went big and faked the characters. Some kept the numbers small and went deep. Some reached for both and felt the seams. When CDPR showed 300 characters in a marketplace, all doing their own thing at 60 FPS, they were claiming to break through something that shaped every one of these games. So what was it? Animation. Let me explain. If you want your game to run at 60 frames per second, you have about 16.7 milliseconds to do everything. So that's your gameplay, AI, physics, graphics, audio, UI, animation. All of it has to fit inside that window. Miss that window and you feel it. That's the classic stutter, the hitch when frame time spikes. And most of those systems have been getting more efficient over the years. Rendering went massively parallel. That's what Nanite is. Millions of triangles processed without the CPU managing each one of them. Physics moved off to worker threads, particle systems got completely rebuilt. But animation, specifically animating lots of characters at once, is where the game thread still gets hammered. And it's not because nobody tried, it's because animation has a problem the others don't. Rendering doesn't care what quest you're on. Physics doesn't check whether your character is injured. But animation is tangled up with everything. What the AI just decided, what the player just pressed, what state the game is in. That entanglement is what makes it so hard to split across scores the same way rendering and physics did. And this isn't theoretical. In a talk from 2024, a CDPR core engineer put it bluntly. Animated characters are the heaviest thing you can put in a scene. On every title hit shipped, that was what limited their vision. Every open world studio hits this wall. And Unreal has been chipping away at this for years. A lot of the low-level pipeline can already parallelize, but the way developers actually build animation system still tends to pull work back onto that single main thread.
I remember watching like one of the dev deep dives on Unreal Engine 5's the animation pipeline, and it is fascinating, like how they have to try and like do this like, okay, we're gonna pull the information for what the NPC needs to do in terms of animation. We're gonna pull that here, and we're gonna calculate that at this moment, but we're not gonna calculate what the animation movement is until later in the frame time, because we can rearrange it and put this here and put that there and do this over here, and it's just like. It's almost like Tetris. Like they're just trying to find ways to fit these different blocks together in a more efficient way. And you probably don't, I mean, not probably, you will never notice it because they're doing all of this in the realm of like milliseconds, you know? It's like, well, this takes half a millisecond to calculate on base PS5 hardware. So we've got to put that here, and then we got to do this here. And if everything works, your game is just locked at 60 and you never notice it. But they have to be like so precise with all of those little placings at all times. It's crazy.
And when you've got 500 characters, that's 500 visits the game thread every frame. And that's the part that gets expensive at scale. So let's see what that actually looks like. I've got Unreal 5.6 and I'm going to start simple. 500 characters in a bare scene with 3 animation states with transitions on Unreal's default animation system, Animation Blueprint. There is no AI, physics, or gameplay. I just want to isolate the animation system and see what happens.
Okay.
We're getting about 88 frames per second. Let's look at where that time is actually going. This is UWorld Tech, where your entire simulation runs every frame. Gameplay, logic, AI, physics, animation, all of it. In a normal game, this would be split across a dozen systems. But this scene has none of that. It's just 500 characters playing animations. So almost everything under the World Tech here is animation work. And look at how it's structured. 500 tiny slivers, one for each character. The game thread touches every character's animation instance, orchestrating hundreds of tiny per character operations every frame. That orchestration is what you're seeing as those 500 slivers. And sum all those slivers up together and you get 4.8 milliseconds. That's almost 42% of the frame just to manage this dispatch. But this is 500 mannequins in an empty scene. No one ships a game that looks like this. This is Epic's City sample, the full Matrix Awakens environment. If you played the demo back in 2021, this is what was running under the hood.
Dude, it's crazy to think that was 2021. It does not feel like it was that long ago, but I guess it was. 2021, man.
At geometry everywhere, Lumen global illumination, a full procedural city with traffic systems, pedestrian AI, and a crowd of meta-human characters walking the streets. The crowd behaviors, where NPCs go, what they do, runs on a system called MAS. The animations on those characters run on animation blueprints. And every character has a lot going on. There's 2 separate animation pipelines per character, one for the body and one for the head. And there's also accessories, facial rig evaluation, look at behaviors, blend spaces. These are expensive characters. If the synthetic test hit 42% on bare mannequins, it should be catastrophic here, right? Let's find out.
Catastrophic's a good way to put it. This should explode, right?
Let's see, at max crowd density, we're getting about 68 frames per second. That's a 14.6 millisecond frame. Summing the animation timers, we get about 1.24 milliseconds. That's roughly 8.5% of the frame, which actually sounds fine until you look at what you're actually counting. The scene doesn't look empty. There are characters everywhere, but most of what you're seeing here is exactly the tricks we talked about earlier. Simplified skeletons, reduced bone counts, characters running cheaper evaluation at distance. At default settings, the number of metahumans running at full animation fidelity is about 16. In the scene Epic built to showcase what Unreal 5 can do with crowds, 16 characters get the real animation pipeline. So what happens when we push past that? City Sample exposes LOD controls for the crowd. I can tell the engine, keep more characters at full fidelity instead of culling them. And the shape is exactly what you'd expect from the mannequin test. More characters at full fidelity means more slivers on the game thread, more per character dispatches, more serial work that can't overlap. So instead of walking through 4 profiler captures, let's just plot the numbers on a graph. So we start at 16 characters, and time spent by animation on the game thread is 1.24 milliseconds.
Okay.
Push it to about 39 characters, 2.68. 112 becomes 5.78. 223, and we're at 10.45. It's linear. Every metahuman you add costs the same as the last one. There's no economy of scale because the architecture doesn't allow it. The same structural problem from the mannequin test, just wearing more expensive clothes. And in frame times, it's 68 FPS at baseline, then 42, then 27, and finally at 13. Now, hold on. 13 FPS
Wait a
is
minute.
a 76 millisecond frame. And we said animation is 10 milliseconds of that, which means animation is 13% of the frame. Not exactly the thing breaking this scene, except that's only what the profiler can label directly as animation work. Animation doesn't just stay in its lane. It blocks game thread work, thrashes the cache, stalls ticks that are waiting on it. That pressure is real, but it's smeared across timers that don't say animation on them. So the 10 milliseconds is the absolute floor, not the ceiling. And the simplest way to prove it is to just turn animation off and see what happens. So I did. Same scene at
Dude, Elder Scrolls 6 looks awesome.
max density, everything running except the animation system. The frame time dropped by 40%. At this crowd density, animation is by far the single largest cost in the scene. And it's not close. That's the wall. So here's the thing about that curve. It's not a performance bug. You can't shader optimize your way out of it. Can't throw it on a faster GPU. The game thread has to touch every character, every frame in sequence. It's just the way it works. And it's worth understanding why it's built that way, because it wasn't a mistake. Animation blueprints are 11 years old. When Epic designed them, a typical multiplayer match had around 10 players, and consumer hardware was shipping 2 to 6 cores. The system was built for that world, and it scaled well. Today, Fortnite runs 100 players in a PR match across everything from the Switch to high-end consoles, all on animation blueprints. And that's a genuine success story. But the ambition has moved past what the system was designed for. 100 capsule-driven players in a big arena is a different problem than 300 fully animated NPCs in a tight, open-world marketplace, each one running a heavy animation pipeline. The architecture served its era, but the era has changed. So CDPR's bet was rebuild the architecture.
We'll do it ourselves. This is, I mean, again, like the best tech is often invisible, right? Like I think Steve Jobs said, technology is at its best when it's invisible. And this is one of those examples where even just that shot that we just saw with the camera panning, think back to that shot from AC Unity, where just moving the camera left to right caused like so much flickering of shadows. The NPCs models were being swapped out in real time, like cascading effects and problems over and over and over and over and over again, time and time and time and time again. And then with this, we're seeing a smooth sweep without any of that. Like, look in the corners, try to find an NPC that's swapping out or that's going from T-pose or hands on the hips to like actually moving and stuff. You're not seeing any of that. And it's one of those things, like, if you don't know where we're coming from, you may not appreciate where we are, you know, because this is one of those things people see and like, yeah, it looks good. But it's like, it is in the details. It is so much better than it was just a handful of years ago. I mean, pretty insane.
Changed. So CDPR's bet was rebuild the architecture. There's an experimental plugin shipping with Unreal 5.6 called the Unreal Animation Framework. It's a ground-up rebuild of how animation evaluation works. CDPR started building towards this at least a year before the Witcher 4 demo. In August 2024, they showed 1,600 animated characters running on 4 worker threads, with the game thread basically empty. They built it in partnership with Epic, and the core architecture made its way upstream into the engine before the Witcher 4 tech demo. The idea is simple to state and architecturally radical. Animation evaluation moves off the game thread. Instead of the game thread stepping through every character one by one, animation work gets batched and distributed across worker threads. The main thread is left with just scheduling and cleanup. Let's see if it actually works. Here's the same scene with 500 mannequins, this time running with UAF. Only the pipeline has changed. 87 frames per second became 104. That's decent, but that's not the number we're interested in.
Okay.
Look at GT animation. It's 0. It's not mostly clear, it's 0 milliseconds. The profiler can't find it. Those 500 slivers, the 4.8 millisecond tax on the game thread, the 42% of the frame we were looking at a few minutes ago are not reduced. They're structurally gone. But placeholder mannequins in an empty box is one thing. What happens in the real scene? Here's the same crowd, same characters, and the same everything. Only the animation pipeline has changed. I ported both the crowd and the vehicles to run on the new pipeline. And I should say that was not trivial. UAF is still experimental, the documentation is sparse, and this was a complete rebuild of crowd animations. But the point of doing it is that this is the same scene with the same workload. If the numbers move, the architecture is why. Let's look at the stats. Frame time, 13.4 milliseconds. 75 frames per second, up from 68. GT animation is 0.44 milliseconds, down from 1.24. That's 1 point on the new line. About 25 metahumans at default density. But the default case isn't where this matters. What happens when we push the LOD the same way we did with animation blueprints?
Crank
at
it.
About 46 characters, UF holds at 0.48. 131 characters, 0.84. 263 characters, we're at 1.35. The UAF line barely moves.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay. So, like, looking at the traditional way they did it, yeah, you add more NPCs, you know, you're dropping to 10 frames a second. Like, it just can't do it. But when you reorganize everything under the new framework and it is running everything in a more efficient way, that doesn't become a problem. I mean, still, it's incredibly difficult. It's experimental and all that. But, I mean, that is a seismic shift in efficiency.
From 25 to 263 characters, a 10-fold increase in crowd density, and GT animation costs didn't even triple. Under animation blueprints, every extra metahuman costs the same as the last. Under UAF, the per character cost in the game thread drops as density goes up. The curve bends. Now, let's look at that graph one more time. Animation Blueprint's game thread spent 1.24 milliseconds on animation with 16 characters. UAF's game thread spent 1.35 milliseconds with 263. With the same budget on the game thread, UAF handled 16 times the number of characters.
Jeez.
And before we pull back, one more check. Remember the control test from earlier, the no animation test? That number doesn't change between animation blueprints and UAF. animation is off either way. So what changes is how far each pipeline sits above that floor at max density. Animation Blueprint sat 40% above that floor. UAF sits 13% above it. It's the same story as before. The labeled GT animation number is what you'd measure in practice, and by that measure, UAF's costs barely moved. The gap to the no animation floor tells you the hidden ripple collapse too. UAF isn't just
crazy,
cheaper in its own lane, it's polluting the rest of the frameless. Now, UAF at max density is still only running at 18 frames per second on my machine. That's not a shipping frame rate. UAF didn't make the scene magically fast. What it did was move the bottleneck. Animation used to be the thing gapping the scene. Now it's one cost among several others. Rendering, Baltic work, mask art simulation, all the 2021 systems City Sample is still running under the hood. So if animation isn't the bottleneck anymore, what does that actually change?
What actually matters?
So let's come back to this. City bumps a man carrying a crate.
This is the one shot or the one element, like the crowd density. I could believe that they found a way to do that more densely by reorganizing stuff, like was just demonstrated. But the thing that I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it in a final game, is this stuff. She bumps into the dude, he drops the apples roll down the hill, the kids go to grab them, and then the pigs break out of their pen to go and eat the apples. Like, I'm sorry, I have a really hard time believing that that's going to be something that can just happen in The Witcher 4. Maybe it does. I'd be shocked. Because, like, okay, a guy's carrying a loaf of bread. Bump into him. Does the loaf of bread cause the pigs to go chase down? Do they have a different tag on every item based on whether it's edible or not? You know, like, I struggle to believe that that's going to be like a real encounter and thing that can happen. Stop being a Debbie Downer. You're right. I'm sorry. You're killing my buzz, man.
Stumbles, drops the apples, and they roll downhill. A kid runs over. Pigs chase another. CDPR's name for this, unscripted chain reaction. CDPR's engineering director framed it as a thesis of the whole demo. Interactivity not just between the player and the world, but between elements in the world. We couldn't see what that meant at the start of the video. But now we can, because look at what it actually requires. It requires the man with the crate, the kid, the pigs, the people that turn their heads. Every single character in that chain has to be available to participate at that moment the event happens. They can't be a puppet or a reduced skeleton shell. They have to be fully animated, running their own behavior, ticking on the same frame.
Yeah, that tick, like it's constantly checking for each of those states. Like, what is it checking for like the kid's logic? Is it checking like detect within 30 meters if there's an edible item that's fallen on the floor? And if so, run over to those and match onto the object to pick it up. And like, I don't know, you see how it starts to get to the point where it's like, is this really fully dynamic? Is this going to be true of every character? Can you follow this guy around as he carries the crate, knocking into him when he gets closer? What about the bear? Like, she just walked past that big bear. If he drops the apples next to the bear, does the bear reach down and bite him? Does the bear handler respond to that? You know, like, I just started to really, like, I don't know. This is, like, for me, way harder to believe than that they cranked up the animation density of NPCs, you know?
And let's go back to the curve we plotted. Under the old architecture, you'd run out of animation budget around 16 characters at full fidelity. The kid in the apple crate chain, if he's 20 meters away, isn't animating at full fidelity. He's on a cheap LOD, or he's one of those empty shells from earlier games we talked about. He physically cannot notice the apple and run for it with real animation because the budget ran out 12 characters ago. The chain reaction doesn't happen, or if it happens, but it's been scripted and placed by a designer for that one street corner and nowhere else in the city. And a couple of systems are collaborating that makes all of this possible. UAF is animating every character in the chain. Mass, the behavior layer we saw earlier, is what tells the kid to notice the apple and the pig to decide it's hungry. Mars isn't new. City Sample was running it back in 2021. What's new is that UAF made the animation cheap enough that Mars has room to actually drive 300 character decisions instead of a couple dozen. CDPR have a line they've been using about the demo. Their goal, they said, was to make the gap between City and the NPCs as small as possible. Read that back against what we talked about in previous games earlier in the video. That gap between the protagonist, who is fully simulated, and the crowd, who mostly isn't, is exactly what every one of those games shipped around. Each studio hit the same wall and paid for it somewhere. That wall is what just moved. Now, a few things I want to be clear about.
So, like, basically the our assumption that you couldn't have the kids and like the pigs all like ticking and simulating and checking for different states, like, you know, whether an edible item has fallen or not. Our assumption that that can't happen or is unrealistic is based on the old sort of standard, which was that you just didn't have enough overhead to simulate that for this many NPCs. Whereas now you actually could. It still would be impressive and difficult to do, but it's possible, I guess is the point.
UAF is still marked experimental. The documentation is thin. Porting City Sample was not a trivial project. At max density, the scene on my machine was still running at 18 frames per second. UAF alone didn't make it particularly fast. It moved the bottleneck. The curve bent. It didn't disappear. And The Witcher 4 is possibly years from shipping. There's a long distance between the architecture works in a benchmark and the ships in a game that players love.
Yeah, and I mean, to be clear, I think that it's likely that, of course, they have more experimental versions behind the scenes, and they've got a lot of stuff they've been working on for the last few years that has not been made public. Whenever you see something publicly at one of these events, like, you know, an Unreal presentation, it's been in the works for a long time. And so I'm sure they have some even crazier versions of this running now that they may launch with The Witcher 4, but that won't become public for a while
But
after.
remember, these benchmarks from this video are from 5.6, the first version to ship UAF publicly. For any studio picking it up today, 5.7's been out for months, and 5.8 is just around the corner. The floor keeps going up. And here's the thing, UAF is just animation. The Witcher 4 demo was also running in Night Foliage, MLD Farmer, Fastio, a whole separate stack I'll get into in a future video. But if this demo had shipped on a proprietary engine, we'd be just taking CDPR's word for it. The reason I could open a profiler and actually test the claims is that all of this ships with Unreal. CDPR and Epic built it together and pushed it upstream. It's not a competitive mode. It's a plugin any dev can download. For 20 years, every open world game has shipped with some version of a crowd density slide. Every player knows what happens when you crank it. The frame rate drops because every extra character costs the same as the last one. That equation just changed. The question used to be, need characters or dense crowds? Pick one. That question isn't gone, but the cost of choosing both just dropped. And the curve bends the right way now.
That's good. That's good. I honestly, again, I respect the hell out of someone who is like, oh, I saw this claim made. Let's go find out. Let's test it ourselves. I respect the hell out of that. And I mean, doing the work and having the talent to be able to get into Unreal Engine and actually push it to the limit and try it yourself is pretty damn cool. So get over. I'm going to share this link again in the chats. I encourage you guys to go over, toss a sub, and follow, because there's just not that many. There's not that many people who are able to do stuff like this, and I respect the hell out of it. And where did the tab go? I just had it open. Oh my god. Yeah, Mr. Cheddar again, over on YouTube. Give him a sub, hit the like button, show him some love, because this is one of the more impressive breakdowns of stuff like this that I've seen, and I think it's really cool. But the main takeaway is, while I think it's fair to be cautiously optimistic, dare I say skeptical of some of this stuff, I think it's also important to recognize that there is a ton of work being done.
Tenacity SND donated $19.99 through Super Chat. Do you know or think that The Witcher 3 DLC will have returning main characters and their voice actors? like Siri, Yen, Triss, Dandelion, etc. My only complaint with
Phantom Liberty DLC on Cyberpunk was that it didn't. I don't. To be clear, I don't know. I believe everybody is on like under really strict NDAs, so they can't say. I would expect, you know, they brought back Geralt's voice actor. Maybe, you know, I would imagine whoever's playing Ciri in The Witcher 4 will be there, because I'm expecting Ciri to be here. My understanding is that this is supposed to bridge the gap between The Witcher 3 and The Witcher 4. So I think it's very, very likely that that this is where it's gonna go. Like, this is they're gonna have her there, and they're gonna merge the storylines together and kind of cross that bridge all at the same time. But yeah, I think they'll bring some of them back. I'm not sure if we'll see Yen or Triss in this DLC. We might. I wouldn't be mad about it, but I don't know if we will. I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, they haven't communicated anything clearly at this point. But I appreciate the 20. That's very nice. Very, very nice. Very generous of you. Thank you. That was a wildly impressive video. I can't even imagine how many hours you put into it. Well, again, it's just, I respect the hell out of somebody being like, you know, I have the capability to test this, you know, and it's a claim that's made. Hey, we built this thing out that changes the game in terms of animation, pipelines and simulation and everything. And he's like, okay, let's see. You know, I really respect it. It's really, really cool. Real quick, guys, I will be right back. I've got to go put Miss Freya back in the dog run to eat her lunch. So I'll be right back. You guys just chill. I'll play some music for you while I'm gone. I'll be gone like 2 minutes and I'll be right back. Okay. It's just puppy lunchtime. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. 1 minute.
I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by our oath for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore,
And it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny. Do it. Do it. Damn it. He's not gonna. I'm back. Sorry, apologies. I had to put little Miss Freya out in the dog run. If I try to feed her at the same time as Romeo, he eats her food. Because she's a little puppy. She just gets like her little half cup or whatever. And but he's gonna be like, oh, puppy food, and he thinks it's delicious. And so I have to separate them when they eat their food, otherwise he eats all of it. He's got no chill, but that's just how it has to be. But she's doing great. Okay. How is everybody? How's everybody good? Everybody good? I want AC Odyssey, Sea Shanty. Dude, I love AC Odyssey. I know it gets a lot of crap, and it is not a very good Assassin's Creed, but still, I love it dearly. Okay, where do we go next? Where do we go next? Oh, I can close that. I can close that. What is this one? I thought this was kind of interesting. Let me show you this. And we'll continue moving on. And then I'll catch up on all these, okay? Thank you for the super chats, my friends. I just want to get through this real quick. New mini segment thing. So one of you guys sent me this little clip, and it is labeled "Why RPGs Shouldn't Let Players Kill God," featuring Josh Sawyer from Obsidian. Josh Sawyer, of course, being the original head honcho behind Fallout New Vegas and now in charge of the upcoming Fallout game from Obsidian. And in this interview segment, clip from the Examined Game with Stephen Lake, they describe how Josh views like RPGs and game design, and to what extent you should allow players to kill God, quote unquote, but also to what level of power you should give players. And I think it's an interesting philosophical jumping off point for what makes RPGs work and what makes them kind of fall flat.
Superman is holding a dying child, starving, and Lex Luthor says on the cover, he's like, all your power, and there's nothing you can do to save them. It's like, yeah, because you fucking shoot lasers out of your eyes and you're bulletproof. And you're like,
to be clear, Josh Sawyer is on the right.
But like mass starvation is like not a thing that you like punch your way out of or laser eyes your way out of. I think when role-playing games are at their best, you feel like you are really at the center of these decisions, and you can't control everything, but you can control a lot. And I think I've done this in a lot of the games I've worked on, to different levels of success or favorable or unfavorable reception by the audience. Like in Deadfire, notably, like you can't stop Aethys. Like he's just going to do what he's going to do. And you're kind of told that point blank. And we also try to telegraph that he's like way beyond the ability to physically do anything to. But players are very conditioned by a lot of RPGs to expect like, yeah, but I'm built different. Like I'm going to be able to take this guy out. And
I've run into this same phenomenon in D&D actually, because you guys may know I like running D&D games for my friends. We've done a few campaigns and it's been awesome. But one of the common hiccups is that players, I don't know exactly what games to blame, but there are a lot of RPGs out there that sort of tell players, no, you're basically God. You know, like you can do whatever. Sure. You want to kill like one of the original creators of the universe? Sure. Here's a level up for you, and as long as you can use a good berry to heal up before the fight, you should be good. Like people are just conditioned, and gamers are conditioned to think that they can, if they want, they can be at the top of the hierarchy. And I understand why. Like for a lot of gamers, RPGs become sort of a power fantasy. It becomes a place to explore a character and become powerful and do things they can't do in this life. And putting a limitation on that power feels kind of, it feels in a way wrong. Like, if you play a video game and you come across a very powerful character, basically a boss, who's going to curb stomp you if you try to fight them right now, there's sort of this unspoken understanding among a lot of gamers and the games themselves that eventually I'll be able to take them on and beat them. Like right now, yes, I got curb stomped by that boss, but eventually I'll be able to kill them. What Josh is describing is situations where like, no, he will always kill you. Like, no, there is no beating around it. Like you are screwed. Okay. You will not ever beat this monster. Okay. They will always kick your ass, because they're just on another plane. They're just on another level, and that's how it is. And I kind of like it. For one, I mean, you guys know me. I don't like the raw, unfiltered power fantasy in games. I like it. Like, it's one of the reasons I love KCD is because you're not starting out as like some nobleman with immense wealth and resources. You're not starting as Hans. You're starting as Henry. And you start with literally nothing, not even a family. And then you got to build yourself up from there. I like that way more than like, oh, you have this once in a millennium gift that makes you extremely powerful and capable. It's why, like, I know people will point to like Skyrim, you know, with being capable of the dragon shouts and stuff, being dragonborn, or I would point to like Horizon. People forget that Horizon tried to market itself as an RPG at first. It didn't really do that with the sequel as much, but in the first game they did. And in that game, it's also like I guess not to get into spoilers, but there is a reason that Aloy is very special in that world. Very, very special. And there's a reason that she's able to get into areas that other people can't get into, why she can use technology that other people can't use. And it kind of pulls me out of it. I like it when I am fighting uphill battles and when I am in this world playing by the same rules as everybody else. I'm not just magically special, you know? I'm not just magically capable of doing things because I, through an accident of birth was gifted this opportunity. I think that's, sure, that happens in real life too. There's some people who are just lucky. They're born lucky and they're born into wealth, fame, fortune, success, whatever. But I don't think that's particularly interesting, you know, to explore.
And then you can't. You can help sort of ameliorate damage, and you can make a bunch of very important decisions that have truly huge impacts, but you can't stop him. And part of that idea was, again, going against this idea of I'm the protagonist, I can literally do anything. And I was like, well, with a role-playing game, so much of what we excel at is making the player sort of sit and deal with their choices, which often feel very imperfect. That sense of agony where you're like, I have two things to do that are good and bad, and I gotta decide which is most important. And so many problems are just human problems. They're part of the reality of life and being a human being and living on this planet with other people right now. And even in a fantastic world, there are still going to be powers that are beyond you. There are things that you can't overwhelm. Like in Pentiment,
real quick, I would just say, like, I think it's the difference between like lighthearted fantasy and hardcore fantasy, or lighthearted role playing and hardcore role playing. You know, like one of the things I love about New Vegas, for example, is that there's sort of, I'm trying to think of an example of one that doesn't work, but for most of the factions, like there is an argument, a compelling argument to be made to side with one over the other in a lot of different ways. I guess Caesar's Legion is tougher to justify personally. But like, I can see why somebody could come to the conclusion that giving Mr. House, you know, the keys to the house, giving him the keys of the kingdom and letting him take full control, that makes sense. Like, he's clearly capable. He's got resources to protect and control for sure. He's going to benefit from it, obviously, but there's reasons why you might side with him. There's also reasons why you might side with the NCR. There's reasons why you might go with the Brotherhood and give them all of your support. Like, there's no clear right or wrong answer. That's what I always find interesting. The really obvious, like, this is just bad guy, evil man. He's an actual demon and he eats babies. It's like, okay, like that's just, it's not that interesting. It's just not. Hot take, Luke doesn't think eating babies is interesting. I find it much more compelling when, like Just Sawyer says, when you explore human elements, human emotions, and you let those kind of drive the story, drive the decision making and the choices, and you don't always make everything so ridiculously black and white. I think that goes a lot farther for immersion, and it's more interesting just in general. Like, I just think like bad evil guy being evil because he's evil is just not compelling. It's just not.
Need to accuse someone of murder, but I don't actually know, and I can't know. There is no way for me to know for certain who actually did this. And so you understand that this person is going to die, and you have to pick someone. And so you kind of have to do your best. And again, it requires the player to interrogate their own values and say, like, is it most important to me that I condemn the person I think did it? Is it most important to me that I condemn the person that I dislike? Is it most important to me that I condemn the person that I think the town will miss the least? Or like, and it's not easy. And then when you actually see the execution, we wanted it to feel pretty realistic and it's not a fun thing to see. And some of them are botched because executions were very often botched. It's like Brother Ference won't stop moving. It takes 3 hits to kill him, and he's terrified. And so a lot of players are just like, they're like, I wish I hadn't like done this. And they're just like, I don't know if there was a better decision to make here, but like, I didn't think it was going to happen like this. And it's like, well, this is how it happened.
Good interview. Go give The Examined Game with Stephen Lake a sub and a like. That was very good. I think that this is absolutely the case. It's also the reason why I personally, this may actually be a hot take. Okay. I want to hear your thoughts. I hate quick saves. I hate quick saves. I hate the ability in an RPG to quick save before pivotal moments and quick load. Come at me. Cancel me. I don't care. It's because I think it ruins the stakes. And I'm a firm believer that if somebody has the ability, if players, maybe capital P players more generally, have a feature or a tool at their disposal to make the game easier, they will use it, even if it makes their experience worse. So I think, like in the case of quick loads, if somebody is right before a major decision, like who to send for execution, or they're right before the moment where they're going to try to roll for persuasion, and if they fail, they're going to be screwed and they're going to ruin their reputation with this person, or if they succeed, it's going to be amazing and incredible. A lot of people will quick save right before that. And I think that will not ruin, it will harm their experience. Because when you do not quick save and you roll those dice and you fail, it hurts. But when you succeed, it feels so much better. You live with the consequences. Yes, you do. You sure do. I think it's one of the things that I am driven crazy by in a lot of RPGs, is that people will just quick save and quick load until they get the outcome they think they want. And it's the same thing I've told players. I've told you guys this story before, but I was running a D&D game and I had a player, let's just say, who I heavily suspected was regularly cheating. Okay. How do you cheat in D&D? It was basically that we would have the dice and we'd go around the table doing stuff, but he would pre-roll. So he would like roll this and be like, oh yeah, I got a 19 plus the, okay, so I succeed on that check, and this is what I do. And I'd have to regularly be like, no, I need to see the roll. You gotta roll it. I call it the Skull of Doom. It's a dice tower that looks like a skull. And I would be like, for major decisions or major moments, you have to roll the dice in front of everybody. And so I tried to make it, dramatic, so it didn't feel so pointed. But he would do that, or he would just like make up and purposely misinterpret rules. So it was like, this ability can only be used once per day, but he used it twice that day and just spammed it, stuff like that. So he would regularly cheat to force outcomes he liked more. And at one point I got so frustrated with it, I did a whole talk in front of the table because I like kind of crashed out low key, pretty high key. And I was just like, guys, the consequence is the fun. Like, that's the dynamic. Okay. If it's only ever successful, it's like we're painting only with white paint. You need contrast. You need failures for the successes to feel like successes. If everything's a success, nothing is. It's just happenings. It's just things. Okay. Like, a critical failure is going to be way more entertaining, and you're going to remember that. That's going to become part of the story. And it's going to have way more consequence, more generally, than if you just have another success that happened to check off a box of what you were expected to, First world crash out for real. Yes, very much so. Yeah, it's but Luke, I have Will Wheaton rolls. Oh, that's we'll tackle that later. I think it's just like, what do you do to solve, or what you do? Hold on, I can't read. What you do to solve that is give them actual ways to cheat in a limited way. Well, we did. We had a number of ways to try and wrestle with it. But to a certain extent, if a player is just committed to cheating rolls, they're just gonna do it. Like they're gonna find new ways to cheese it. Which is why I was trying to like encourage them that like no, the critical failure when you get up there, you put all of your everything into this. Like we had one moment where a dude. One of our players, not the one that was cheating, but one of our players went up. He gets right in front of the bad guy. He has this like whole speech. He pulls out his dagger. He's about to do an attack straight, like dagger down into the dude's cranium. He does it, rolls a nat 1, and just stabs himself straight in the gut because it kind of slips off. He stabs himself. It was freaking hilarious. And it was awesome. And it was like this big moment, super dramatic. You deserve this. You had this coming. This is for all our friends. Tonight we dine in Valhalla. Oh, shit. Like, it was just funny. But it was one of those moments that was way more entertaining than if he just sold it or rolled it and, you know, good enough, you pass. Like, it was those moments of catastrophic failure that were way more entertaining and fun, frankly, than if he were successful. And that's what I've tried to encourage people. Is like those failures often are more entertaining and more fun, more memorable, and often lead the story in more creative ways than when you're successful, you know? It's the same thing with a lot of RPGs and video games in general. Is those failures can be way more entertaining. It's the same thing. I remember when I tried at one point, it was not my first run, but it was on one of those runs of Fallout New Vegas where I decided to try and help Caesar. I tried to perform surgery. If you've ever done that, you may know what can happen. And those outcomes are way more entertaining than if everything goes exactly the way that you intended them to or that you originally meant them to. It's way more entertaining, you know? So I just think that, yeah, quick saves suck. And if I were the God King of gaming, I would ban quick saves in RPGs. The only exception to that is if the RPG is super buggy. Okay, if you're playing New Vegas and you want a quick save because it keeps crashing, I respect it. But when you start like quick saving right before like major choices, that's a bad idea. Alex, yes, but counterpoint, what if I'm scared of failure? That's a bigger issue. That's what if I am afraid? Did you ever think about that, Luke? You dumbass. Fair. I just think, like, again, consequence in RPGs, it's always funny to me that like people play an RPG, a role-playing game all about consequence, and then they will do something like that removes the consequence. And it's like, so you want to just play a linear story that goes exactly the way you expect it to? Like, what are we doing? Why do it that way? Why? Help me understand, you know? That's all I'm saying. I'm fail phobic. It's a condition. It's a condition. Yeah. You got to be able to fail and you got to embrace it. It's way more entertaining that way, I think. Let's see. Dude, one of the best examples of me accidentally dealing with the consequences was, I got to find that clip. Hold on. You chose to break the law. Oh, do I not have it anymore? Oh, I may not be able to find it. Damn it. I don't know where the soundbite went. Yeah, you chose. It's an old meme. It's an old DSP meme. You chose to broke the law. Deal with the consequences, is what he says. It's amazing. One of the times when I failed catastrophically and I didn't realize it, I was playing Fire Emblem Three Houses. If you guys have never played that, you're basically playing as a professor at Hogwarts. It's really good. It's a good game. I think it's on the Switch, like the OG Switch. I think that's where I played it at least. And it's a really good game. But one of the things is on the traditional, like normal, whatever, classical Fire Emblem difficulty, you as the teacher will be taking your students out on missions and they basically act as like your party in combat, right? They can die and it's permadeath. So like you'll take a student out with you on a mission and if they die in combat, they are just dead. I had never played Fire Emblem before. I did the typical thing, like, and I just kind of blasted through normal difficulties and everything. I just go whatever the default is, and I was just doing that. And I remember there was this like younger girl who I brought on like every combat encounter because she was pretty good. She worked well with how I played and everything. And I had put a lot of time into leveling her up and getting everything set. And at one point I was playing through, and then I remember I paused and I was like, oh yeah, I used her all the time. Where is she? And I go back and I start looking through like the roster, and I'm looking around the school, and I was like, I cannot find her. And I like looked around, and I was talking to my buddy Corey, who got me into the game. He's like, yeah, I mean, if you can't find her, she's probably dead. I was like, and I paused and I thought, I was like, there was a combat encounter where she did go down. Oh shit. Like, it was this moment of like, she's dead. She's been dead a while. I didn't even realize. My bad. Oops. But it was like, because it had happened, I don't even know how many hours before. There was no undoing it. It was just like the most, oh no. Like, I felt so bad. And after that, I was very, very careful in combat. But yeah, it was crazy. State of Decay moment, dude. I'm very excited for State of Decay 3. But I remember playing State of Decay, the OG, and I loved it so much. If we got State of Decay fans, please represent. But I remember playing, it was one of the girls, I don't remember her name. Was it Sarah or something? It might have been her. She looks familiar. But I had one of the girls who I had leveled up like crazy. I used her in like almost every single run. We went crazy, and I put so many hours in this game. I loved it. And I still have this like super vivid memory of going out on a run for materials and supplies. I went out, I was looting a house. We got swarmed. She dropped dead. Or after she got swarmed, she drops down and is dead. And Riley, that sounds good. Right, yeah. She drops, and I remember when she died, I have this picture in my head of everybody swarming, and I just remember like I sat the controller down. And like head in hands, just needed a moment. I was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I was like, I could try to frantically run over and unplug the power cord or whatever, but I was like so overwhelmed with just like, I had to embrace it. Just be like, it is what it is. She served me well for a long time, and now she's gone. But that, again, how many moments in video games from like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, however long ago it was, how many moments from games over a decade ago do you still remember that like 2-minute period? It's only 2 minutes over 10 years ago, but you still remember it. I almost guarantee you most of those moments you remember are like catastrophic failures. It's another example why I think failing in games is probably more important than succeeding in them. It's why I can't stand all these modern games that try to be all cushy with everybody, you know? It doesn't work. Yeah. My first Alduin kill. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I don't like permadeath. Cancel me. It's not for every game, to be clear. Not every game should have it, I don't think, but the games that do have it, if you choose to like play by those rules and you accept the terms, it can be very, very impactful. It's awesome. WoW raids that went wrong stick with me. Yeah, Leroy Jenkins. There's a lot of moments like that. I remember like the very first. I remember like long time ago when I was much younger, a young man. I remember playing through like a run of Minecraft and dying catastrophically, and that like fell into a lava cavern or something like that. And I remember that was traumatic for young Luke. I remember, what are some other ones? I'm sure there's plenty. Yeah, it's just funny how there's some of those moments where you're like, that was 2 minutes 12 years ago, and it still like gives me heartburn just thinking about, like it's just funny how that works. I'll never forget Shepard shooting Ghost and Roach, not choice based, but it's by far most horrific memory in my years of gaming. One I do remember. Thank you for the 10, by the way. That's super, super kind of you. One I do remember that, like, for whatever reason, like, stuck with me is also one of my OG feuds in Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. I think his name was like Ukbuk or Ukbuk or something like that. He was like my original nemesis, and I spent so many days and weeks playing through that game trying to kill that dude, and he was like perfectly catered to counter my play style. Like it was so frustrating. I wonder if I have a gameplay clip of something or of him or something somewhere. I probably would have saved it. I gotta find it. But there's just a lot of those types of moments, and it's just very funny. It's why it makes me sad that nowadays most kids' moment like that is probably in Roblox. Like they didn't get to experience anything truly, truly potent. Truly, truly potent. Let me see. Deja Vu, thank you for that super chat. We know about Mass Effect versus Dragon Age team infighting at BioWare. Do you think that could happen with Obsidian and Bethesda? How much control would Obsidian have? BGS already rejected a pitch from them, right? It's my understanding that they rejected a pitch over the last handful of years. I believe it's been said, Chris Avellone has said that they tried multiple pitches and multiple of them were rejected. So, it's not the first time that this has happened. Unfortunately. As for, here it is. There's also other drama. Chris Avellone tweeted this. Somebody sent him a message, said, Chris Avellone, whose bright idea was it at Bethesda to make y'all sit through a PowerPoint on how much Fallout New Vegas failed, even though, the game is amazing and way better than 4? He actually replied to this, okay? He actually replied to this. To be clear, if you don't know, he's like the writer on Fallout New Vegas. He said, they didn't see it that way. It was a list of pros and cons about working with us on New Vegas with specific examples. It didn't cover just development. It covered production, marketing, and other difficulties with us. So while I don't think they meant it maliciously, although some frustrations with us were expressed, it did feel tone deaf. That's kind of like the Bethesda special. But yeah, I think that's part of it, is that there's always been a funky relationship. Fans have noticed it, and Todd and those guys still insist that no, don't believe your lying eyes and ears. Like everything's great. We love those guys. But it's funky, man. I find it funny that people are like, well, but Todd said that he loves them and that there is nothing wrong. It's like his catchphrase and like the theme song that plays when Todd walks on stage is "Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies," and that's your primary source. Like the guy that is being claimed was being a dick to them, like that's your source. Like what? Okay, now we believe it. Okay, sure, that makes total sense. Yeah, it does have 16 times the detail. That's true. It's true, Loxy. I think that most likely there's probably going to be a little bit of a funky relationship because, again, my impression is that also of a lot of other people's impression, which is that I don't think that any of this was Todd's idea. I don't think any of the push for Obsidian, any of the public discourse and clarification, the lifting of the blacklisting of Jason Schreier, I don't think any of that was BGS chosen. I think that this was Asha saying we're doing things differently. I think that I think that's the route. I think that that's probably only going to make those conference calls a little more awkward. But who cares? They're adults. They can figure it out. Like they got to figure it out. Let's see. How about no? Thank you for that 10. Very generous. Theory, the engine they use for Obsidian Fallout will show how Asha wants to run Xbox Unreal for games, getting games out quicker, or the creation engine to make as much money as possible out of games. I think, just to be clear, I think that Asha wants Creation Engine to continue to be used because they want more user-generated content. They want to turn Bethesda's games into mini, like, Robloxes. So I think that that's going to be like part of the big push, is to just continue using it because it's a good platform for that stuff. They might put it in an Unreal wrapper to make it look graphically more impressive, but I just don't know. I don't know, man. It sounds like that's expensive and also really difficult to do. Like, it takes a good amount of coding know-how, and I'm not sure if BGS is gonna do that. Especially, like, let's be totally honest. Do you really think like the core fan base at Bethesda or for Bethesda games is going to care that much if they just use Creation Engine? I don't think so. We saw them like playing defense over all of it, being like, no, it's really advanced because I can have a bunch of cheese. I can have hundreds of wheels of cheese in Elder Scrolls 6. Like, that's the bar. So do they really need to lift it and raise it? Probably not. Probably not. You all miss him now, says Vitanese. Sure do. I'm not sure who that was talking about. So maybe I should be careful before I say sure do. Should be careful. I'm not sure who that was referring to. Maybe Phil. Maybe we're talking about Phil. Brock Dietering, thank you for that super chat. Hey Luke, love the streams. Just wondering if you stream playing games, and if so, what game would pique your interest enough? We do stream some games. A lot of it just depends on timelines and stuff. A lot of the games that I end up playing, I'm playing for like review or for content before an embargo lifts, so I can't stream it. So like when I was playing Black Flag Resynced, I was playing it while it was under embargo, so like I can't stream it because you're not allowed to. But I've pondered pivoting away from reviews so that we could stream more games and play them on stream. But that's just giving up like reviews in exchange for streaming the games. So it's kind of like a give and take. So I'm not sure. What if I'm lactose intolerant? Have I got a brand for you, my friend? Milky Tablets. Fantastic. I'm assuming that's what you're referencing. But yeah, I no joke. We did reach out to Milky specifically asking for a sponsorship because I use those Milky Tablets all the time. Like, they sponsored the video today. Shop. They're not sponsoring anything on this stream, to be clear, but like, no joke, I have used these things for years at this point, and they've like actually changed my life. I'm lactose intolerant myself, but these are like little enzymes to actually allow you to digest it. So it's like a little thing that you put in your pocket or your wallet or whatever, and then you pop one of these little bitty pills when you have your first bit of dairy, and it gives your body the enzyme it needs to break down the dairy and the lactose. It's like actual magic. Like, I used to not be able to go and have like ice cream with my kids because the dairy would cause my internal, like my body to explode. It's like actual magic. Like, you pop this, totally fine. Like, if I have a lot of dairy, if I have like a glass of milk, God forbid, like, it will give me horrible like stomach pains and everything, but also like I will break out in horrible cystic acne. I didn't realize what was doing it for years and years and years until I like fully cut dairy. Taking these, it doesn't happen. This coffee has dairy in it because I have one of these tablets when I start drinking it. It's like actual magic. Oh my God. As I drop it. It's like actual magic. It's one of those cases where like I actually told my team, I was like, please reach out to this brand. I use them all of the time, and it'll be the easiest promotion ever because I love it so much and I use it literally every day, like 3 times a day, 2-3 times a day. I have one of these. It's crazy. It's like actually magic. So that's actually recommended. Highly recommend it. Yeah, it's straight magic. It just works. It really does. It really does. Yeah. Luke the Milk Pill Stevens. Luke the Milk Stevens. It's close to the mold. The milk, and now they're both pretty great. Let's be real. Let's see real quick. I wanted to shout this one out. This was interesting. New mini segment thing. Ghost Official sent me a tweet on Twitter, the Twitter, X, whatever, and said the following. Here's what me and my buddy came up with at 4 a.m. Assassin's Creed Outlaws at Ubisoft Assassin's Creed. What do you guys think? This is a great idea and concept. I will be real. We'll read through some of their ideas real quick, but I'm gonna just tell you, I've thought that like a Wild West Assassin's Creed would be like a slam dunk for a while. I want to see a Wild West Assassin's Creed. I want to see a like World War I Assassin's Creed. And I also want to see like World War II could also be really, really interesting. But I think that there's so many opportunities for that. I think also you could do like New York City in the Roaring 20s. That could be really fascinating. I mean, imagine basically like Great Gatsby, but Assassin's Creed. So you're like exploring 1920s New York or something. I think that'd be amazing, dude. I think it'd be fantastic. But what they specifically outlined here was Assassin's Creed Outlaws set in 1800s during the Wild West. Protagonist is voiced by Roger Clark. It's a little on the nose, but I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with it. I need the Animus, Dutch. You play as an outlaw set in a dangerous time as you stumble across a hidden blade. You take it and make your way into town. Eventually you see your friend, and he's been secretly working for a group of people called the Templars. I wonder who those guys are. They plan on hunting your parents because they are part of the Hidden Ones, revealing this as you manage to find them to then witness their deaths. Before they die, they tell you to find the cave of the Hidden Ones. You find the cave and find out they were there to protect and find an ancient relic that the Templars are after. You are then set on hunting them all down, including your friend. That, or you tie it to like the oil rush, or you could also tie it to the gold rush, but you could tie it to one of those rushes where like the Templars were in charge of the oil rush or the gold rush. And it wasn't actually gold they were after. They were after Isu artifacts buried in the mountains of San Francisco or whatever, in the hills of San Francisco, whatever it is. You could do all sorts of stuff that I think would make sense. Like Templars wealth, tie it to the railroad, tie it to that. There's all sorts of crazy stuff you could do. Standoff encounters where you'd have to do like actual like, quick draw fights and shootouts and stuff. Build your own ranch, which would be the hideout feature. Bounty hunters, mercenary mechanic from Odyssey. Yeah, easy peasy. Hunt animals used to upgrade your character. They had a whole hunting and like animal simulation system in Origins and Odyssey that was abandoned. So that would be a slam dunk. Expansive map of Oklahoma. I wouldn't set it in Oklahoma. Not lived in Oklahoma. I lived near Oklahoma. We lived in Kansas, and then we lived in like North Texas. People in Oklahoma are great. They're great. Love Oklahomans. Oklahomans, I think. It's kind of boring. Okay, don't come at me. Okay, I'm just saying, Oklahoma as a state, I'm sorry. I love all the people there. It's just flat. Like it's pretty, but like this would be the map. And I'm not just saying this because I have like a compulsive fear of tornadoes. I'm not just saying that. And Oklahoma is like Tornado Valley. But it's just kind of flat. Like some of it, yeah, okay, that could work. But I personally, I do like, yeah, Utah could be cool. Colorado might be a little biased. Colorado could work. That could work. You got the mountains that like you want biomes. You want a bunch of different stuff. The nice thing about Colorado is that we even have like dunes. People forget, but like we have dunes. Okay. We have like dunes going up to mountains. We've got the mountains. We've got the flatlands. We've got all sorts of stuff, all sorts of stuff. The Great Sand Dunes. I mean, how cool is that? How cool is that? Sandworms. We could do sandworms. The Mormons are the Templars. Imagine the quest line where you break in to the Templar headquarters and then they sit you down. You break into the central meeting room and it's just a kitchen and it's like this little soccer mom who's like, hi, she's sipping on her Stanley water bottle. Hi, I made you some brownies. Here you go. And we were about to sit around and sing some hymns. You want to join us? And it's just like the most welcoming people ever. That would be accurate. I'll tell you what, like Mormons, for as fun and wacky as some of the stuff they believe is, they are some of the sweetest people you will ever meet in your life. There's a lot of Mormons in Colorado, obviously, and they are some of the sweetest people. Like truly, truly, so sweet, so kind. No love for Oklahoma. Hey, I'm biased. Okay, I'm biased. I see this. I'm like, yeah, I'll take this. Oklahoma, it's too flat for me. It's too flat for me. I respect the people that live there. Love the people. Love the people. Too many tornadoes, personally. But yeah, anyway. Oklahoma, could see that. Hunt animals, use it to upgrade your character. Easy peasy. Definitely could do that. Saloon fights. Yeah, drinking mini games. These are things they had in Valhalla as well that they could just paste over. Billy the Kid as a character. Doc Holliday. I almost thought when I said Doc Holliday, I thought in my head Doc Antle from Tiger King. And I was like, what's he doing there? But who knows? He could be a DLC character. 2 DLCs. First is set in Texas, the next in Mexico. You could do, I mean, honestly, you could just kind of merge the two, do that whole area. Do an Alamo DLC. You have to try to remember. I think that could be good. I mean, honestly, they would massage a lot of these ideas and tweak a lot of these. But I think that as a core concept, an Assassin's Creed game set in the Wild West could be really fun and a cool different change in pace and rhythm for sure. Now, realistically, do I think they'll do it? Maybe in the early 2030s they get around to it. It's hard to say whether, like, how high on the priority list that is. One of the reasons Ubisoft likes going into much deeper history and less recorded history is that it gives them a lot more leeway. The closer to the modern day you are, the more not just like emotional and like historical baggage you deal with, but it's also because it's more modern. It also means that like tragedies, like it would be hard for Ubisoft, I think, to do a World War II game that does it narrative justice. You know, like there was the rumor of the Assassin's Creed canceled. Let's see. Here. Ubisoft scoop. This from GameFile. Ubisoft canceled a post-Civil War Assassin's Creed game last year. Company leadership deemed the project too controversial for the moment, sources told GameFile. This was posted October of 2025, okay? In July of last year, so July of 2024, this would have been, word began to trickle through Ubisoft that an ambitious new installment of the company's top franchise, Assassin's Creed, had been canceled. The new game would have brought the history-spanning series to one of its most modern settings, the American Civil War, and more so, the Reconstruction period that followed in the 1860s and 1870s. In this Reconstruction-era Assassin's Creed game, gamers would play as a black man who had been formerly enslaved in the South and moved west to start a new life. Recruited by the series' assassins, he would return to the South to fight for justice in a conflict that would, among other things, see him confront the emergence of the Ku Klux Klan. That's according to interviews with 5 current and former Ubisoft employees who spoke to GameFile on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about the project. Ubisoft did not respond to a request for comment at this time. The people were enthusiastic about the game, but were also frustrated by its cancellation, which they perceived as Ubisoft bowing to controversy. Now, I think, for one, as an idea that, like, for a game, I think the idea sounds really cool, honestly. And I wouldn't think it would be that controversial. Like, personally, like Red Dead 2 is beloved. There's like an entire quest line, not quest line. There's like a dynamic encounter. Well, no, I think it is a quest as well. But there is, here, let me show you. RDR2 KKK. Is this it? Here, this is Markiplier.
Something change? I don't know what's happening. Okay. I mean, everything seems fine. Twice. The Ku Klux Klan!
Just, the Ku Klux Klan. But if you've not seen this, in Red Dead 2, you can come across these guys And they try to light the cross on fire.
He's on fire! He's right on fire! Somebody wait! Where y'all going? Come back! Come back! You there. You just stood and watched a good man die. And did nothing.
Yeah, you're a bad person. Yeah, as he walks away, leaving the two guys dead on the ground. So, like, Red Dead 2 had the KKK and that like literally had them be bungling idiots who like lit themselves on fire and everything. I don't think it would actually be that controversial. Personally, I think people would probably be excited to play as a character who gets to go hunt down Templars that are tied to the KKK, and I think that could work as a game concept. I personally don't think it would be that controversial. The reason why I'm not crazy like upset or pissed about the cancellation is because, like, have you guys seen Ubisoft writing quality in recent years? What makes you think that they would handle this with great respect and grounded storytelling? Like, I am not that confident in their abilities to write a story that would do the setting justice. You know, like I think they could bring back Darby. I think you'd have to do something like that. Like, you'd have to bring back somebody or bring somebody in that is very good. Because a cringy, like, you know, snap the fingers, oh yeah, take that. Like, I think that type of typical Ubisoft writing approach would not go over well. If they tried to write it the way that they wrote like these new quests in AC Black Flag Resynced, I don't think that would go over too well. I don't think that would work. Let Tarantino write it. That would be interesting. I just think, like, for me, I didn't really shed much of a tear when I heard this news. Not because I don't think the idea would work. I think the idea would work. I think the idea could work. And I think the game could be really, really cool if it were made, what, 10, 15 years ago. I just currently do not have a lot of confidence in the writing quality. And I think that's like the most important part of this game, of this concept, would be how you write it, how you present it, do it respectfully, of course, to very real human suffering that was perpetrated by these groups. And then also, like, you're in the Reconstructionary period. It's like one of the most fascinating periods in American history, because like the whole country was just fighting itself, and now it's trying to heal, and there's a lot of bigotry going every which way. And then like the South is hating the North because they feel like they are basically under tyrannical rule, and so they hate anybody coming from the North. And then you add on racial bias and all these things, the abolition of slavery and all this. Like, it is not easy to write that story, full stop, period. I mean, it's very difficult. I would not be envious of anybody trying to take that on. It's a daunting task. And I don't think that they would probably have done it justice, you know? Yeah, incredibly cool concept. Can't wait to see how they fumble it. Yeah, I think that, again, the Ubisoft of like 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014 probably could have done it. I'm not sure if the Ubisoft of 2020, what would have been 2027, 2028, I don't think they would have been able to do it. But we'll see. I know they're investing heavily. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to get their ducks in a row and get back to where they were. So we'll see. Maybe they do eventually revisit the idea, because I like the idea. It's just whether I like Ubisoft doing it. You know, that's a separate one. Let's see. Oh yeah, AC spinoff where you play as a Templar. They did that. Yeah, they technically did that. Yeah, they did. Sure did. Anyway. Yeah. I'm not sure that would have worked. They deal with this kind of stuff in Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Ottawa's story, and Derby did it respectfully. Well, yeah, that's why, like, if I heard that Darby was writing the whole thing, okay, because I know that Darby knows what he's doing, and Darby's writing is really good, and he's very good at what he does. But you'd have to have something like that attached to it. You'd have to have Darby is in charge of it, not a supervisor. Like, he has to write it. He's got to be the guy. And if they could do that, then I'm more on board. But even Resynced, like, he consulted on it. He helped with a couple of scenes. He wrote a couple of scenes, but like, he was not in charge of it. I think you'd have to have somebody like him in charge of it. Like, full stop. A World War II AC would be a different game. I think it would play very differently. It would be much closer to like AC Syndicate. You got to remember that like Syndicate was the most modern full-fledged game with like the full setting in the modern, closer to modern day period. And how they did that was, of course, you got very tall buildings. So they added the rope caster to be able to climb those much faster and more dynamically. And then they also, of course, had things like carriages, and you're able to traverse the map fairly quickly. But you'd probably have tools like that at your disposal. They bring the rope caster back and things like that. So never played Syndicate. Should I? You absolutely should. Yeah, it's good. It doesn't get enough love. Is it like top 3 Assassin's Creeds? I don't think so, but I really like it. And the music, dude, the music in Syndicate is really good. It's really, really good. Darth, thank you for first time message. It says first time message, but is it? I don't know. The Grand Dragon would be just an actual dragon. Yeah, modern Ubisoft would probably make the Grand Dragon an actual dragon. Honestly, what's sad is that that's not even that much of a stretch to think that they might actually do that. That's insane, but you might not be wrong. If Tarantino writes it, that's entirely too much focus on feet. Yeah. Now all of the assassins don't use shoes. It's to be quieter. Yes, quieter when they're stealthing. And we have a dedicated foot camera that goes close so that you can make sure you're not stepping on things that are loud. Yes. So while we stealth, we can look at their feet all of the time. And maybe like the Templars have gotten smart, so they started putting like ketchup on the ground and chocolate, and maybe somebody needs to go in there and help the assassins clean them off. And so we'll have like a foot cleaning cam. I could see Tarantino getting really into this. Tarantino, Kojima, tag team. Boots on the ground. Sorry, feet on the ground. I think that'd be crazy. I think that'd be good. Yeah, that could work. I think we're onto something. RPG veteran, thank you for that. Luke, we need Doomsday trailer reaction. It was okay. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I keep waiting for them to find a way to pull me back into the Marvel stuff. It's not doing anything for me. They just feel so corporate and commercial, and like, I don't know, man. I can't get into it. I can't get into them anymore. I just can't. After Infinity War and everything, I'm just like, you know, I can't get into it. It's just, oh yeah, they shot that on the volume, and then they shot that, okay, and it's just like, oh no, big explosions. Like, I can't get into it. It's too bad. I'm more interested in something like, you know, big cinematic crazy. Like, I want to see the Odyssey. I think that sounds interesting. I haven't seen it yet. Like, I'm not gonna kill myself to try to see it, but like, if I get the chance to go see it in IMAX, I will. But I just, something like that is actually interesting. Another Marvel superhero thing that ties into 3 different TV shows they want you to watch. I'm not that into it, you know. I'm just like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy anymore. I don't like having to keep up with 3 Disney Plus shows and then 5 movies a year, and then like, otherwise you have no idea what's going on. You know, I'm good. CDPR should be a role model for BGS. I'm pumped about the DLC, the upcoming trilogy, plus the remake. They're using UE5. Hopefully it won't be too buggy. Yeah, the one thing to remember about what we talked about earlier with the like compensation packages, pushing them to get these things out sooner rather than later, is that it does create a direct financial incentive for executives to get stuff out, even if it's not fully ready. Which is my concern. Like the fact that they're trying to get this stuff out by the deadlines to meet financial goals, so they can get massive bonuses. that's good because it forces them to work quickly and be efficient, but it also means that they have an incentive to maybe shove it out, even if it needs a few more months, to just get it out before the deadline. So I think you should still be cautious when it comes to optimization and performance and stuff like that. For sure. Let's see. Tenacity again. Thank you for that 20. That was super generous. Thank you, my friend. Sammy, GTA 6 before Judas? Yes. Yeah, Judas, I think, is still like 2 years away. I think they said that, didn't they? I think they said that. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. Judas is expected to release somewhere in fiscal 28 to 29 and not in 27, which begins now and ends in March of 27. So, according to their own financial statements, they're expecting that Judas comes like 2020, late 27, early 28, maybe. Like, it's still a ways off, which is amazing. But that's, barring any further delays, that's where it's sitting. So, yeah, GTA 6 before Judas, for sure. Full stop. No joke. Yeah. Let's see. RPG, thank you for that. 5 quick saves, even if ignored, killed the seriousness of the story-based RPG for me. It's why I only played BG3 on honor mode. Yeah, dude, actual high stakes. I respect the hell out of that. Yeah, I want to do another honor mode run. Not another. I've never done a full honor mode run. I need to. I really want to. I should do that. Tenacity, thank you again for that 10. That was super generous. We read that one earlier about Ghost and Roach. Meta, thank you for that too. Getting scammed in RuneScape for that Abyssal Whip. Dude, I've heard a lot of stories of people getting scammed in RuneScape. It's funny. It's like a core experience, apparently. Mission Select, thank you for that membership. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time and didn't think I'd like it because of the Westerns. I cannot believe I've been so stupid. I love it. Dude, isn't it so good? It is so good. It's, oh my god, it's a phenomenal. Well, the great thing for that one, surprisingly, GOTG has a very influential decision-making system. Your decisions in game dictates how easy many missions would be for you. Interesting. What's GOTG? Whenever I say GOT. Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes. Dude, Guardians of the Galaxy, the game, is super underrated. That game is so much better than it has any right being. It's so good. Wallet, also thank you for that super chat just again. That was very nice of you. How about no? Thank you for the 10. Super generous. Again, that was about the Obsidian Fallout engine question. We did read that one. Thank you for that. Bino Bake, thank you for the 5 months. Yo, I can't believe it's in 5 months. Thank you. I'm glad to have you here, my friend. Time flies when you're having fun, hopefully. Have you heard anything about Assassin's Creed Stardust Project? Apparently, it's an AC1 remake. I've not heard anything about it. I do know that after Resynced, they're probably going to be giving it a lot more money. Because, they are very happy with Resynced. They are very, very, very happy with Resynced. So, yeah, I think they're going to give them whatever they need to get that done. I personally don't know if I like AC1 remake as much as I would have liked AC2. I think AC2 would have made more sense. But I'm here for it. I'm not complaining. I'm just like, I would have thought they would do 2 first, but maybe they're just going to go 1, 2, or 1, and then the others. Maybe they do Brother? I don't know. But we'll see. They're going to be really exploring the remakes after the success of Resynced, I think. Let's see. Sunny Sam, thank you for the super chat. Whatever, I can't read. AC Unity had a World War I or II sequence that was so peak. Yeah, Unity had. It was at the Eiffel Tower. It had a World War II sequence, and then it was Syndicate had World War I sequence, if I recall correctly. I think it was Syndicate was AC or World War I, and then Unity was World War II. But yes, it showed that they have lore there to explore it. But I think it would be cool. I think it'd be cool if they did that. Let's see. Well, the great thing also for that, story-wise, it would make sense, but what people forget is the gameplay. One of the issues with Shadows is the lack of tall buildings. It's too open. Dude, it's one of the reasons why I couldn't stand Valhalla as like an Assassin's Creed fan, is that it's like England is nothing but forests, and London is super small at the time. Like, there's no big cities for parkouring. It's just wide open forests and fields. And I remember talking about Valhalla at the time, and I was like, as a map for Assassin's Creed, I think this is a terrible map for Assassin's Creed. They're like, well, it's England in whatever it was, 900 AD or whatever. That's what it looked like. I was like, yeah, they chose to set the game here. Like, would it be okay if they set an Assassin's Creed game on Antarctica? Like, oh, well, there's no buildings to climb. This sucks for parkour. Well, that's what Antarctica's like, Luke. It's mostly ice. I'm like, yeah, you chose to set the game here, and it's a bad setting. Okay, like, exactly. We agree. You know, it drove me crazy. But yeah, with Shadows, I agree that a lot of the parkour wasn't. It also felt like the maps were not really built for a lot of careful maneuvering and parkour. Like, one of the things about Resync you'll notice is that there's a lot of routes for parkouring where, like, they intend for you to run up here, curl around here, grab this, swing around the edge, and like they have these kind of routes for parkouring built, which is something they used to do in the Assassin's Creed games all the time. And then they just stopped. They just started putting boxes for you to climb over, basically, in the later games. Drove me crazy. Quasars, thank you for the membership as well. Appreciate you. Oliver Trees, good to see you. Thank you for the 5. Luke, what is your biggest pet peeve with gamers? I've been feeling really weird / alienated with a lot of communities of gamers as I get older. What is a pet peeve of gaming? Pet peeve of gamers. What's something that we do that drives me crazy? Maybe it's like the perception that if a game isn't a masterpiece, it's bad. Like, people will look at a Metacritic score in the low 80s and act like it's a failure. Like, oh, it's not great. It's like, no, dude, like 82 out of 100 is a good score. It's hard to get that score. Like, it feels like if your game is not a smashing success with like a 97, people act like it's bad. And that's just not how that is at all. So maybe it's like the hyperfixation with Metacritic scores. I could see that. Like, that kind of drives me crazy. Like, a game can be a 75 on Metacritic or a 72, and you can still have fun with it. You can still have fun with like solid 5 out of 10s. You can have fun with like D- games that are not very good, but you just have fun with. You know, it's just stupid. It's just stupid fun. Like, the launch version of Mecha Chameleon is not a super high Metacritic score game, okay? It's just not. But the game is still super fun, especially once they added in like community supported maps and provided maps and stuff. It's way better. But the base version, vanilla version, was not that great. But if you just looked at like a Metacritic score or something of that game, if it had Metacritic score, it would not have been given a chance, you know? So I'd say that drives me a little crazy. Beyond that, I think, what else? I don't know. Maybe like, it's not true of most gamers. There's some gamers where they have sort of a puritanical view of a lot of stuff. So like, if a game does not check every box the maximal way that it can, it's therefore the whole thing has to be thrown out, like throw the baby out with the bathwater, which I don't think is fair. Like, for example, in Black Flag Resynced, I think the game is really well done. I think the remake is really, really good. It's really impressive in so many ways. Had a great time playing it. Recommend everybody who likes Black Flag or is interested in it should try it. Does that mean I like everything about it? No. Do I like the in-game store? Do I like the day one DLC and cosmetic packs and like map packs and stuff? No, I haven't liked Ubisoft doing that or any company doing that. Like in the last decade that they've done it, I've never liked it. But does that mean the whole game should be cast aside and boycotted? Personally, I don't think so. I don't think it's that grievous of an offense. It's something I don't like. It's something I'll say I don't like. But is it a deal breaker for me? No. But some people, I think they view it, if there is a single problem that they don't like, it's a deal breaker. And anybody who is not treating it as a deal breaker as well is like a I don't know, is a bad person. It's like, no, some people just like games, you know, and they don't see it as that big of a deal. Like if you start to try to adhere to a puritanical framework for evaluating whether you're going to play a game, you're not going to play many games, unfortunately, because a lot of the best games that you really like, oh, well, it has Denuvo. Okay, I can't play it now. Oh, Resident Evil 4 Remake, phenomenal game, but it has day one DLC and microtransactions. Oh, okay, nope, can't play that. GTA 6 looks awesome, but it has a deluxe edition that has content locked out from the cheaper versions, which is basically like day one DLC. Okay, so I can't play that. Like you're going to start to find that you just can't play much of anything, you know, and I respect people who are willing to sacrifice their enjoyment of the hobby at the altar of their convictions. I respect that, but I think you're also not a bad person if you don't see it as that big of a deal, you know? Today I read that some people think New Vegas has good gunplay. What? I love New Vegas. I don't think I've heard anybody ever say that New Vegas has good gunplay. That's crazy. That's insane. That's ridiculous. Wow. Okay. Huh. Who knew? Who knew? Push 935. Thank you for the tip for the 10. That's super generous. How have they not done Splinter Cell-esque futuristic Assassin's Creed game in a city with skyscrapers hiding in shadows, leaping across tall buildings, neon lights in the rain? It would make millions. I think there was a vision originally for Watch Dogs to become that, and then it just didn't really work out. But I think that there was originally an intent for Watch Dogs to be that. And that they would just level it up, and then it just didn't really click. But yeah, I think that's what Watch Dogs was supposed to be. It's just kind of hard to pull that off, you know. That's just where it is. Luke, are you on the Elder Scrolls 6 27 hype train, or are you a 28 doomer? I'm more of a 29 doomer. I have seen very, very little reason to think that it is ahead of schedule. I'll just put it that way. I have seen very little to make me think that it's close. The reporting has previously said that it's about 2 years away. That was before the layoffs. When the layoffs hit, a lot of the people that were laid off or were members of the unions within BGS, they were saying that they may have to delay the game now. Delaying it could mean it delays out of 2028 into 2029. So I would be stunned if it launched next year. I'd be shocked. I do not think it's launching next year. Bear in mind, a lot of the people who are now saying it's totally launching next year said that it would launch this year. I love a lot of those guys. I love a lot of those YouTubers. I know some of them who have been saying that they think it launches next year. Rewind the clocks, look up their Twitter posts, look up their videos. Many of them were saying a year ago, I think 2026 is the year. So just you know, maintain a healthy level of skepticism, I think. I think that's the thing. Rick, thank you for that one. Do you think BGS are in trouble if Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 don't perform? Do I think they're in trouble? Like in the sense that Asha would like shut him down or something? I don't know. I don't think they would shut him down, but I think already Asha is starting to move the IP beyond just one studio. She doesn't want BGS to be the only studio that can touch Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I think she wants ultimately like to treat them like Call of Duty, basically. Because you got to remember, she's outside. She doesn't care about BGS's history or reputation or whatever. For her, she's looking at it, she's like, we have amazingly valuable IP. Why are we waiting for one team to get around to making another game? What are we doing? She wants to do the Call of Duty thing where you have this team working on this game, and then 2 years later, this other team puts out their version of the game. And then this other team 2 years later puts out their game. Maybe we can even get it to annual releases like Ubisoft used to do with Assassin's Creed. I think that's what they're looking at doing. Like they're going to try to get it working that way. And so I think Todd's role will become more of as an executive producer. He'll still have a role, but I think BGS's role is going to get smaller and smaller as time goes by, if I'm being honest. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Beto Bake, thank you for the 5 as well. I feel like if they could get a writer like Darby in a C game around 10, Underground Railroad would be sick. Again, granting that the writing is solid. Exactly. I agree. That could be really, really cool. There's a lot of really interesting ideas that you could explore, especially like for Assassin's Creed. You could do even stuff during the Cold War that could be really, really interesting with like espionage and like really lean into careful tactics and everything. But that's really tough to do with their current staff. And when you have the option between that and going like back to the Mayan Empire, or go all the way back and go revisit ancient Egypt or something, another period in ancient Egypt when they're building the pyramids, that I think is a much more compelling idea than take the risk on something more modern that could be interpreted as controversial. You know, that's just where I think they're at. Please don't do annual releases. I think Asha likes the idea of annual releases. I don't think they're anywhere close to being able to do that, but I think that she's going to eventually try to rev up to that point. Ask me in 5 years. I think you'll be surprised at how much Fallout and Elder Scrolls stuff will be pumping out in the next handful of years. I think you're going to be surprised. She's about to crank the dials because she knows they're sitting on a gold mine that's fully unextracted. There's lots of Fallout money to be made. And I think she's going to try to milk that vein, drain that vein, not milk it. You don't milk veins, you drain them. I think she's going to get in there and go crazy. As funny as it is to say, 6 years from now, like 2032, you may be sick and tired of Fallout. You may be sick and tired of Elder Scrolls. Because I think she may just send it. Full wealth extraction. Just wait. Just wait. That's all I'm saying. Any status on the, or update on the status of Arcane, Leon, and Blade? No. What we know is that they are currently in their negotiations for whatever they call it. Basically, in France, they can't just shut them down. They have to enter into like council, and they have to review the whole financial status of the company and all this. My understanding, as it's been explained to me, is that they are in the first step of selling / laying off / shutting down the studio. So they're in the first step of that. It doesn't mean that the game is canceled. It just means that Microsoft doesn't want to foot the bill anymore. Like they want to either find another way of funding the project, or they want to sell it to somebody else, or they want to shut the studio down. But they are not happy with how Arcane Leon has been operating in terms of expense, in terms of the status of the projects. Like they're not happy with where they are. So things will be different. It just takes a year or two to go through those processes, but it is in the works. I think most likely the Blade game does see the light of day. I think it does launch, but I think it probably launches under a new owner, and it probably launches not on Game Pass day one. That's kind of my guess. Asha axed it. Not a smart move at all. Well, to be fair, we don't know what the game looks like, for one. It could very well be like an 8-hour narrative game that they don't anticipate reviewing super well, and that they don't think is going to make a lot of money. And they're going to have to give up 30% of every cut. Like, we just don't know. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. It might be a total mistake. It might be a massive blunder. It might also be like, ooh, I see why they wanted to dump it. We just don't know. Raptor, thank you for that very generous 10. Thank you. Hey, Luke, first time donating to any streamer. Oh, you're very kind. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. I think the gunplay in New Vegas, while clunky, actually fits the setting very well. Very well, since they are 200 years old or made out of junk left over. There is to a certain extent, there is a sense that like the equipment is old, it's falling apart, it's breaking down. And you got to remember, it is a game from like 2010, right? Like it is not a modern game. It's pretty basic. So for what it is, I think it's good enough. I think if they were to like remake New Vegas, but they just brought like Fallout 4 combat, I'd be a happy camper. Fallout 4 gunplay I thought was pretty solid. I'd be fine with that. But I think part of it was also stacked. There's not a whole lot of responsiveness with the weapons paired with the movement. Also, the movement controls in Fallout New Vegas are really, really basic and bare bones. There's no like sprint. It's just forward. There's a lot of stuff that stacks up to the movement feeling bad, which often can also make the like combat feel bad in general, which gets lumped into gunplay. So I do agree that it makes sense for the setting. It works for the kind of game that it is. I still wouldn't say that it's good, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Anyway. They're going to reuse vampire assets from Redfall. Oh God. They might. I don't know. Anyway. Well, fam, I'm going to call it there. Me and the fam, I'm going to take the kids to the pool today. So we're going to go do that. It's going to be a good time. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day. We will be back on Friday, rocking and rolling. I will have some more videos going up, so just buckle up for that. And I missed your super chat. Hold on, Gavin. Gavin, wait. Hold on, let me refresh. Last like 2 streams, this like YouTube viewer activity page has like dropped stuff. Oh, are you talking about the Witcher 1 remake? I definitely read this one. Completely forgot about the Witcher 1 remake. Should we expect to hear about that soon since it's been 4 years? I definitely read that one. Did you send one more recently? Missed quite a few. Oh my god. Professional streamer. Is it like hiding some from me? Because I read all these. I read those. Oh no, that was the one. My bad. Yeah, I definitely did read it. I did read that one. Basically, when should we expect to hear about the Witcher 1 remake? I said that I think we see it probably sometime mid to late next year, because I'm expecting that it comes out after The Witcher 4, and The Witcher 4 could come out as soon as next fall / winter. So we probably see it like teased. I don't know if we see it at the same time. Maybe shortly after The Witcher 4 drops. We'll see the trailer. So it might be shown off like summer of 28 if The Witcher 4 launches in the fall or winter of next year. But I do think that we see it probably in the next like 2 years would be my guess. But anyway, guys, much love. Much love. Read them while you're in the hot tub. Dude, I love the hot tub. I love it so much. Au revoir, everybody. I love you all desperately. I'll see you on Friday, okay? Much love. Stay safe. Subscribe. Also, if you haven't already, okay? Some people don't subscribe. You guys are crazy. Much love. I'll see you soon. Bye.